Cryptids are mysterious creatures that some people believe exist, but haven't been scientifically proven. They range from famous and harmless beings like Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster, to more dangerous ones like the Kraken or the Black Devils. This iceberg has 8 tiers, and in total over 300 totally unique and one-of-a-kind cryptids. Now without further ado, let's start the video. The first entry from the Tier 1, and probably the most famous cryptid that exists, the Bigfoot. Bigfoot, often called Sasquatch, is portrayed as a large, ape-like, hairy creature found in North America. Accounts and folklore about Bigfoot date back to the 6th century, with Native American carvings purportedly showing a group of these beings. Various tribes in Canada and the United States have their own narratives about Bigfoot, with the term Sasquatch originating from the Hopkinsville language. The term Bigfoot was coined in the 1950s after the discovery of large, human-like footprints at a logging site believed to belong to this elusive creature. Bigfoot is among the most famous and often mentioned cryptids globally, supported by numerous eyewitness accounts, supposed videos and photos, and alleged forensic traces. Sightings often describe Bigfoot engaging in behaviors such as throwing heavy objects to make noise and hollering. Wooden nests and structures are also attributed to them. They are thought to be omnivorous, and Scott Nelson, a retired Navy linguist, claims they have a distinct language. Nelson's conclusion comes from analyzing the Sierra sounds, audio recordings claimed to be of Sasquatch from the 1970s. Theories about Bigfoot's true nature vary. Some suggest they could be surviving Gigantopithecus, a giant ape species from Southeast Asia believed to reach up to 10 feet in height. However, Gigantopithecus was not bipedal and lived solely in Southeast Asia, differing from Bigfoot reports. Other theories propose Bigfoot might be a Neanderthal or an undiscovered species of ape. The Kraken is a mythical sea creature often portrayed as an enormous squid-like beast, much larger than any known giant squid. During medieval times, the Kraken was reputed to be capable of sinking entire ships, either by generating massive whirlpools or using its formidable tentacles. Unlike the giant squid, the Kraken is sometimes depicted with traits resembling both crabs and octopuses. Reports of the Kraken were most commonly recorded in the northern Atlantic Ocean, and while some believe that historical sightings of the Kraken could have been misidentified as encounters with giant squids, many medieval descriptions don't align with the known appearance of these cephalopods. This discrepancy has led to speculation that the Kraken might be an entirely different species. The Loch Ness Monster, often called Nessie, is a supposed aquatic creature said to dwell in Loch Ness, a large freshwater lake in Scotland. Modern depictions frequently liken Nessie to a plesiosaur, a prehistoric marine reptile. Nessie has been featured in many purported photographs and recordings, although many have been exposed as hoaxes. Advanced technology, like underwater sonar, has been used in attempts to find evidence of the creature. While some plesiosaur-like shapes have been detected, none have been definitively identified as Nessie. The Chupacabra, meaning goat sucker, got its name in 1995 after several attacks on farm animals left them drained of blood, with their bodies otherwise intact. Initially reported in Puerto Rico, sightings spread to Central and North America. Descriptions vary, with some depicting the Chupacabra as a greenish, reptilian creature with spikes, standing about 3 feet tall, while others describe it as a strange, hairless dog. In both versions, the Chupacabra is said to drain the blood of animals using 2 or 3 fangs. The Jersey Devil, a legendary creature from New Jersey, is described as having a kangaroo-like body, the head and hooves of a horse, bat-like wings, horns on its head, and a forked tail. Despite this common description, many variations of the creature's appearance exist. According to legend, the Jersey Devil was born after a woman named Jane Leeds cursed her 13th child while she was pregnant, resulting in the child transforming into the beast upon birth. Originally known as the Leeds Devil or the Devil of Leeds, it was reportedly sighted multiple times during the 18th and 19th centuries. An alternative theory suggests that the legend arose from conflicts between the Leeds family and their neighbors. The creature became widely known as the Jersey Devil in the winter of 1909, when hundreds of alleged sightings were reported, During this period, there were claims of people being attacked by the devil, leading to hunting parties being formed, and even police reportedly firing at the creature. However, following the surge of reports in 1909, sightings significantly decreased, and today the creature is rarely seen. The Yeti, also known as the Abominable Snowman or Métis, is another legendary ape-like creature said to inhabit the Himalayan mountain range of India, China, Nepal, and Bhutan. The earliest reports of the Yeti come from the traditional beliefs of the Tibetan people, who spoke of an ape-like hunter capable of carrying weapons. Modern reports of the Yeti emerged from Western expeditions by mountain climbers and naturalists exploring the Himalayas. Many climbers claimed to have seen the creature or found its footprints. An alleged Yeti scalp was also discovered in a Nepalese monastery, though testing indicated that it was likely not from any kind of ape. Much like Bigfoot, those who believe in the Yeti often theorize that it could be a descendant of the Gigantopithecus. The story of Mothman began on November 15, 1966, when a young couple in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, reported being followed by a glowing-eyed figure with 10-foot wings. Subsequent sightings of Mothman emerged soon after, leading to various theories about the creature's origin, including the possibilities of it being a military experiment, a supernatural entity, or an alien from a UFO. The sightings largely ceased after the tragic collapse of the Silver Bridge in Point Pleasant, which resulted in 46 deaths. Due to the timing of the bridge collapse and the end of the sightings, many proponents of the Mothman being a supernatural entity believe that the creature appeared to warn of the impending disaster. Mermaids are mythical beings depicted as half human, half fish, and are often considered creations of folklore with the power to bewitch sailors, either stealing from them or causing them to drown. Despite their mythical status, there have been numerous reported sightings of mermaids, even in modern times. One of the most famous accounts comes from explorer Christopher Columbus, who reported seeing mermaids in 1493. According to his description, he was disappointed by their masculine features, leading many to believe he actually encountered manatees, which were historically mistaken for mermaids. In contemporary times, reports of mermaid sightings have emerged from various parts of the world, including Zimbabwe and Israel. The existence of mermaids remains a highly controversial topic among scientists, with many arguing that traditional depictions of mermaids would be unable to survive the ocean's cold temperatures due to their inability to regulate body heat. The Thunderbird is a legendary massive bird that is said to generate thunder and lightning with its wings and eyes. This myth has been associated with numerous sightings of large birds reported in the United States for over a century. One notable sighting occurred in 1977 when the Thunderbird allegedly swooped down on a young boy and tried to carry him off before being scared away by the boy's mother. An intriguing piece of this legend is a photograph supposedly taken of the Thunderbird's body in the late 1890s. However, the authenticity of this photo remains unknown, as it has since been lost. The Fresno nightcrawlers are a relatively recent cryptid, first reported in the early 2010s. These strange creatures are described as looking like a pair of walking pants. The initial sightings occurred in Central California, when surveillance footage allegedly captured the small, unusual beings. They were later spotted again on surveillance tape in Yosemite National Park. The bloop refers to an extremely powerful underwater sound recorded by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, in 1997, somewhere in the Pacific Ocean near South America. Initially, the source of the sound sparked theories about a large, unknown cryptid, as the noise was so loud and powerful that any creature capable of producing it would have to be enormous, much larger than any known animal on Earth. However, NOAA now attributes the sound to glacier movements. Beyond the recording, no further evidence or information about this potential cryptid exists. Lizard Man of Skateboard Swamp. During the summer of 1988, a car in South Carolina was found vandalized, bearing both bite marks and claw marks. Shortly after, a local teenager reported that a large lizard-like creature jumped onto his car. The teenager managed to shake off the creature, but not before it inflicted similar damage to his vehicle. Following these incidents, more sightings were reported to local authorities, and the creature became known as the Lizard Man of Scape or Swamp. Described as standing about 7 feet tall with webbed hands, the Lizard Man sparked a local sensation. Although police suspected a bear was responsible, the sightings eventually dwindled, and reports of the Lizard Man are rare today. The mugwump is a water cryptid found in Lake Timiskaming in Canada. Described as a large creature with a round head, humped back, and no fins, it measures about 5 meters long. One report claims it can travel on land, but most sightings occur in the water. The mugwump was reportedly seen observing a pair of ice fishers. The history of the mugwump dates back to when the Anishinaabe tribe would leave offerings to the creature for safe passage through the water. It has been cited as recently as 2015, when a video supposedly showing the mugwump was uploaded to YouTube. The Jeba-fofi is a species of giant spider native to the Congo in Africa, described as being about 1.5 meters from leg to leg. One of the first reported sightings occurred in 1890, when a group of British explorers became entangled in a spider's web. 2 giant spiders emerged and bit some of the men before Simons, one of the expedition members, drove them off with his pistol. The bitten men later developed sweating and chills before succumbing to the spider bites. The Jeba-fofi is described as brown with a purple mark on its abdomen. Although there have been a few alleged sightings recently, native accounts suggest that human expansion in the area has reduced their numbers. Black dogs are seemingly supernatural canines, typically appearing in the British Isles. They range in size from a normal dog to as large as a horse, and often have glowing red eyes. Black dogs are usually considered bad omens or harbingers of death, though some are seen as guardians. One infamous sighting from the 1500s describes a black dog bursting into a church with the sound of thunder, killing 2 people and collapsing the church's steeple. The same day, it attacked another church, scorching its doors, leaving marks known as the devil's fingerprints. The more malevolent versions of black dogs are often called black shucks, translating to black devils. The ahul is a large bat native to the jungles of Indonesia, with a wingspan of 28 feet. Described as having a face that is a mix of a chimpanzee and a bat, it has gray fur. The ahul is named after its cry, reported in 1927 by a man awakened by the loud sound. It's said to dive at humans, but little else is known about its behavior. Giants are essentially much larger variations of normal humans. The tallest human in recorded history, Robert Wadlow, stood at an impressive 8 feet and 11 inches, over a foot taller than George Murison, the tallest NBA player ever. However, there are accounts and evidence suggesting humans even larger than this. One famous example is the giant of Castelnau, represented by 3 bone fragments discovered in France during the late 19th century. Examinations suggested these bones belonged to a Bronze Age human, standing around 11.5 feet tall. Further study indicated that these bones grew in ways atypical of normal human bones. More bones were found nearby in 1894, with some skulls hinting at similarly tall humans. In 1911, miners allegedly discovered bones from the Sitka tribe in Nevada. This tribe was a legend among local native tribes, believed to be a race of cannibals. Another type of giant cryptid often discussed is the Nephilim, biblical offspring of humans and angels, which some interpret to be giants. The megalodon was a colossal species of shark that went extinct approximately 3.5 million years ago. It is considered one of the largest predators ever to exist, with some estimates suggesting it could reach lengths of up to 67 feet. Unlike the cryptids we've discussed so far, megalodon did exist historically, but is believed to have gone extinct. In 1875, the British ship HMS Challenger discovered a pair of megalodon teeth that were tested and found to be around 20,000 years old, implying the species may have persisted longer than previously thought. However, the accuracy of these tests has been questioned multiple times. Over the years, there have been several reported sightings of giant sharks attributed to the megalodon. There are stories, for instance, of fishermen refusing to work out of fear of encountering this enormous shark. Giant snakes refer to a variety of cryptids characterized by their immense size, far exceeding that of any known snake species. Throughout history, there have been numerous encounters with snakes reported to be significantly larger than typical. One notable incident occurred in 1959 when Belgian soldier Remy van Lierde was flying over the Congo in a helicopter. He spotted a massive snake estimated to be between 40 to 50 feet long lying on the ground. The snake was so large that Van Lierde ordered the pilot to fly away out of fear it might rise up and attack the helicopter. A photograph was taken before they departed. This snake's size dwarfs even the longest pythons known in the area, suggesting that if the sighting is genuine, it could represent a new species. Shadow people, or shadow figures, are strange humanoid-looking shadows seen at the edge of people's vision. Most sightings involve glimpses that disappear when looked at directly. Some reports allege that shadow people attack or choke eyewitnesses, while others describe them as benevolent. Believers think they are either paranormal entities or an extra-dimensional race. The Lusca is a sea monster native to the blue holes of the Bahamas. Described as a giant octopus, it measures between 75 to 200 feet. Some depictions describe it as half shark, half octopus. It's reported to feed on local aquatic life and has attacked swimmers and divers. Some swimmers reported seeing bubbles before being dragged down by the Lusca's tentacles. Sharing many characteristics with Bigfoot, the skunk ape, also known as the swamp ape or Florida Bigfoot, is a hairy creature from the southeastern United States. Standing about 7 feet, 2 meters tall, it is distinguished by a foul odor. Modern sightings and reports of the creature's smell began to emerge in the 1970s. One of the most famous sightings occurred around the year 2000, when Florida police received an anonymous letter asking if anyone was missing an orangutan. The attached photo showed a creature that resembled the skunk ape more than an orangutan, along with a note about the distinct, awful smell it left behind. Whether the skunk ape is a type of Bigfoot or a different species remains unknown. The thylacine, also known as the Tasmanian tiger or Tasmanian wolf, once roamed the islands of Tasmania, New Guinea, and Australia. However, due to a combination of factors including competition with dingoes and human activities, the thylacine was driven to extinction in most parts of its range. By the 1930s, only a small population remained in Tasmania. In 1936, the last known thylacine named Benjamin died in captivity, marking the species as officially extinct. Despite this, numerous sightings have been reported in southern Australia and Tasmania since then. Researchers have set up cameras across the region in hopes of capturing photographic evidence of a surviving thylacine population, but so far, no conclusive proof of its survival in the modern era has been found. The Mokele-Mbembe is an African cryptid from the Congo, often cited as proof that dinosaurs might still roam the earth. This creature is said to resemble a brontosaurus, a long-necked dinosaur from the Jurassic period. Reports about the Mokele-Mbembe date back to the early 20th century. Some accounts claim the creature attacked boats, leaving behind the bodies of the crew without consuming them, as it is believed to be herbivorous. However, other reports suggest that the creature can swallow people whole. In recent years, some have speculated that sightings of the Mokele-Mbembe might actually be misidentifications of rhinoceroses. Despite this, expeditions continue to search the region for evidence of this elusive creature. The Monkey Man of Delhi was first reported in 2001 when residents in New Delhi, India, described a strange, dark-haired monkey-like creature standing about 4 feet, 1 meter, tall. It was sometimes reported to be wearing a helmet, clothes with buttons, iron claws, and had glowing red eyes. The cryptid was feared and reported to attack and bite people. The public reaction to the Monkey Man was intense, with 2 to 3 people reportedly trampled in the chaos of trying to escape, and vigilante groups attacking innocent people they believed to be the creature. Despite police investigations, sightings stopped after 2002, leading some to believe the Monkey Man was a product of mass hysteria. The moa was a large flightless bird similar to the ostrich, standing about 11 feet tall and native to New Zealand. It was driven to extinction by settlers, with the last estimate of its existence being around 1445. Despite this, moa sightings have been reported for centuries. Some Maori groups claim to hunt the creature long after its extinction date. Modern sightings are rare, but one person claimed to have taken a photo of the moa's footprints, though the photo's authenticity is questionable. The Dover Demon is a cryptid that was first sighted in Dover, Massachusetts in 1977. The initial sighting occurred when a teenager driving noticed a strange creature with glowing eyes, long slender fingers, and a large head sitting on a stone wall beside the road. Soon after, two other teenagers reported encountering a similar creature in the area. Despite these initial sightings, there have been no further credible reports of the Dover Demon since then. This cryptid remains shrouded in mystery, with no additional information about its behavior or existence. Some speculate that its appearance bears similarities to depictions of aliens, leading to theories that it could potentially be an extraterrestrial species. The Dover Demon remains an intriguing case in the realm of cryptozoology, often cited as an example of an unexplained phenomenon that occurred over a short period in a localized area. The Oklahoma octopus. This cryptid, said to inhabit the freshwater lakes of Oklahoma, has long been blamed for mysterious drownings in the area. Its description as a horse-sized octopus is intriguing, especially since no known octopus species live in freshwater. The lakes in question were formed in the early 1900s, making the presence of a freshwater octopus even more mysterious. First reported in 1924 off the coast of South Africa, Trunco is a bizarre sea creature, described as having the body of a fish, the fur of a polar bear, and an elephant's trunk. It was allegedly seen battling orcas before its body washed ashore. Unfortunately, Trunco was never examined by scientists, leaving its true identity a mystery. The only known photo of Trunco shows it lying on the beach, but some accounts suggest it was merely resting before returning to the ocean. Its reported size was approximately 47 feet long with a 10-foot tail. The last sighting indicated it was heading southeast toward the Southern Ocean. Known as carrying off dogs, this cryptid is said to be wolf-like or hyena-like and is infamous among Native American tribes for stealing dogs. Over the years, several wolf-like creatures have been shot and sent for testing, but none have confirmed the existence of a new species. Ogopogo, also known as Nataka, this cryptid is believed to inhabit Okanagan Lake in British Columbia, Canada. The name Nataka means water demon, and some Native American legends describe it as a malevolent spirit that drowns those who fail to offer sacrifices. However, other stories depict it as a benevolent spirit. Modern sightings describe the Ogopogo as 10 to 12 meters long, with a serpentine, humped body. One sighting even reported it traveling at speeds of up to 25 miles or 40 kilometers per hour. Various video recordings exist, but none have provided definitive proof of its existence. Momo, or the Missouri Monster, is an ape-like cryptid with a round head, thick hair covering its face, a foul smell, and no neck, distinguishing it from Bigfoot. The first sighting in 1972 involved a group of kids who saw Momo holding a dog. Momo is known to show aggressive behavior, targeting dogs and throwing rocks at populated areas. Sightings are mostly in Missouri and Louisiana. The giant octopus refers to sightings of octopi larger than any known species. Similar to the Kraken, it's reported to attack ships. Sightings range from the Atlantic to the Indian Oceans. Some believe the giant octopus may be related to the Lusca. Phantom kangaroos are reports of wild kangaroos outside of Australia, in places like France, New Zealand, Japan, the United States, and the United Kingdom. Skeptics believe they are escaped or misidentified animals. One American report in 1934 described a phantom kangaroo attacking and eating animals, despite kangaroos being vegetarian. In 1922, during an interview with the Mongolian Prime Minister, an American paleontologist discovered stories of the Algoi Korkoi, also known as the Mongolian deathworm. According to the minister, this creature was described as a worm about 2 feet in length, capable of causing instant death with its mere touch. It was rumored to possess an extremely corrosive acid. The Mongolian deathworm is believed to inhabit the Gobi Desert, one of the largest deserts in the world. Despite numerous expeditions into the desert in search of this cryptid, no conclusive evidence of its existence has ever been found. Since the 1950s, sightings of big cats such as panthers, leopards, and cougars have been reported in Britain, despite no native species of these animals existing on the island. Over the years, several of these cats have been captured, most of which turned out to be escaped exotic pets. However, some theorists speculate that these sightings could be attributed to an undiscovered species of cat, possibly a remnant from the Ice Age. One of the most famous cases is that of the Beast of Bodmin Moor, an alleged big cat blamed for a series of livestock attacks in Cornwall, England. The Texas Big Bird, often compared to the Thunderbird, was a mysterious avian creature sighted multiple times in the 1970s. Unlike the Thunderbird, the Texas Big Bird gained notoriety for its aggressive behavior towards humans. In one notable incident, a man reported hearing a strange whistling sound before the creature swooped down and scratched his back with its claws, tearing his clothing to shreds. The victim required hospitalization due to the severity of the attack. However, sightings of the Texas Big Bird ceased after the 1970s, and the creature has not been seen since. Sky serpents are strange animal-like creatures reported worldwide, resembling traditional Asian dragons with long, snake-like bodies and no wings. Despite lacking wings, they can fly. Little else is known about them. The bunyip is a creature from Australian Aboriginal folklore, described in various forms from a large starfish to a seal-like animal with a long neck. Believed to be a water spirit, bunyip sightings occur near water. The creature is considered dangerous and was blamed for the death of an Aboriginal woman. Western explorers in Australia were told bunyip stories, leading to searches for evidence. Some large bones found in a lake in the 19th century were believed to belong to the bunyip, but they were never studied. The Storsjöodjuret, meaning the Great Lake Monster, is a legendary creature said to inhabit Lake Storsjön in Sweden. Sightings of this lake monster date back to 1635, when a man named Arun Smith allegedly bound the creature to the lake's bottom. In 1899, a naturalist compiled various reports of the Storsjöodjuret and concluded that it was likely a type of aquatic mammal. Descriptions indicated that the creature could grow up to 14 meters in length, with a snake-like body and a dog-like head. Some accounts also mentioned fins, though the exact appearance varied among witnesses. Sightings of the Storsjöodjuret continue to this day. One of the most notable events in the creature's history occurred in 1894, when King Oscar II of Sweden sponsored an expedition to find the monster, which ultimately failed. The seawil is a cryptid believed to be a small, humanoid race living on the island of Java, Indonesia. These creatures are said to be fairly intelligent, using simple tools to hunt and fish. Little else is known about the seawil, as they reportedly flee from human contact. The yowie, also known as the Yahoo or Yahuwa, is a legendary cryptid from Australia, described as a large, hairy, ape-like creature standing between 2 to 3.5 meters tall, 7 to 12 feet. Reports of the yowie date back to Aboriginal times, where it was often referred to as the Yahoo or Yahoo Devil. According to Aboriginal lore, the yowie was believed to be a confrontational entity that clashed with early settlers and possessed extraordinary speed. Modern sightings of the yowie continue, primarily in the state of Queensland, Australia. Witnesses describe it as having long arms with claws, no visible neck, and fur that can range in color from white to brown or reddish. Despite numerous reports and alleged evidence such as videos and footprints, there is no conclusive proof of the yowie's existence. Kalana, meaning stone elephants, are a purported species of elephant supposedly found in South India. They are named because locals usually spot them at high rocky altitudes. Despite being described as normal elephants, Kalana are said to be a maximum of 5 feet tall, shorter than the average human. Despite investigations by researchers and the government, no solid evidence of their existence has been found. Lake Champlain's cryptid, Champ or Champy, has been a subject of fascination and sightings dating back centuries in the US and Canada. Initially described as a 187-foot-long serpent-like creature, more recent reports liken Champ to a plesiosaur or similar to the Loch Ness Monster. One of the most famous pieces of evidence is a photo taken in 1977, which some claim shows Champ. In 2003, recordings of sounds in the lake were purported to resemble dolphin or whale noises, despite neither species inhabiting the lake. Additionally, large tracks found outside the lake have been speculated to belong to Champ, leading to theories that Champ may be an unknown type of large aquatic reptile, possibly resembling an alligator. Bessie is a cryptid said to inhabit Lake Erie, described as a gray snake-like creature that can grow up to 40 feet long. One of the first sightings occurred in 1793, when a ship captain observed a rod-like creature in the lake. Sightings have been sporadic since then. One report involved two boys finding a writhing Bessie stranded on land, though it was gone when they returned. Another sighting involved a ship's crew observing Bessie apparently fighting something in the water, though the nature of the opponent was unclear. The Beast of Busco, on the other hand, was a giant turtle reportedly sighted in Churubusco, Indiana in 1948. Stories of large turtles in the area date back to 1898, when a farmer named Oscar Falk reported seeing one in a nearby lake. Dubbed Oscar, the turtle was said to be significantly larger than typical snapping turtles, estimated to be over 10 times their size. Efforts to capture Oscar included attempts to drain the lake, which failed when a dam burst and flooded the area. A subsequent dive was unsuccessful due to the wrong equipment being sent. Despite never being captured, the legend of the Beast of Busco lives on, with the town continuing to celebrate Turtle Days each summer. The Trinity Alps giant salamander is a cryptid reported in the Trinity Alps mountain range of Northern California. Resembling a typical salamander but far larger, this creature is said to reach lengths of up to 9 feet. While one such creature caught in the 1960s turned out to be an escaped pet, sightings of the Trinity Alps giant salamander have continued, with reports as recent as 2005. The Ucumar is a cryptid from Argentina and Chile, described as a cross between Bigfoot and a bear. Sightings of this beast date back to at least the 1950s, when people began reporting strange noises and sightings of hairy ape-like men. Many reports of the Ucumar come from mountainous regions, where it is believed to reside. The Grassman is an American cryptid similar to Bigfoot, native to Ohio. Unlike the skunk ape, which is distinguished by its foul smell, the Grassman is known for its aggression. Sightings of the Grassman may date back to a Native American practice of leaving food out for the wild ones of the woods to keep the peace. This practice seems wise, as modern reports describe the Grassman attacking dogs and even a man on his carriage who had to be saved by his daughter throwing rocks at the monster. Like the skunk ape, it is currently unknown if the Grassman is a type of Bigfoot or a different species entirely. Located in central China, the Yeren, meaning wild man, is an ape-like creature said to stand between 6 to 12 feet, 2 to 3.5 meters tall, with red hair and a human-like face. It's described as mostly peaceful, omnivorous, and generally avoiding humans. The Yeren attracted so much attention that the Chinese government sponsored an expedition to find it. Though they found hair samples and footprints, no definitive proof was uncovered. The Ropen is a bat-like or pterosaur-like cryptid from Papua New Guinea, with a wingspan reported to be between 12 to 100 feet, 4 to 30 meters. One unique feature of the Ropen is its bioluminescence or ability to glow. British zoologist Evelyn Cheeseman reported seeing a strange flying light in 1935, consistent with other sightings of glowing emanations lasting about 5 seconds. The Ropen is sometimes reported to attack humans or dig through graves, though most sightings describe it hunting fish or flying. The Zanzibar leopard was a group of African leopards native to the island of Unguja in Zanzibar. Presumed extinct since the 1990s, there was a sighting as recently as 2018 when a camera trap captured a photo of what could be a Zanzibar leopard. Finding the leopard now would be significant, as there is less information on it and its behavior compared to other presumed extinct cryptids like the Tasmanian tiger. The sea monk is a bizarre cryptid allegedly captured in 1546 in the Sound, a body of water near Denmark. Measuring about 8 feet, 2.5 meters in length, it was named for its resemblance to a monk. Some believed it to be a type of mermaid. Debates arose about whether the sea monk's human-like depictions were exaggerated, or if it was just a large fish or squid. The reported sighting of the tusked yowie in 1932 adds an intriguing twist to the lore surrounding the yowie, a hairy ape-like cryptid believed to inhabit the Australian wilderness. According to the local newspaper report from Myrtleford in the Mount Buffalo district, the creature was described as standing 7 feet tall, resembling a human with a large round hairy head, and notably it possessed 4 tusks. The account by Mr. William Nuttall describes a dramatic encounter where he was allegedly attacked by this creature while adjusting saddle gear near the railway station. The creature snarled and charged at him, tearing his shirt before he managed to escape through a wire fence. While this 1932 report stands out, subsequent sightings or further documentation of the tusked yowie are scarce. This makes it a unique but somewhat isolated account within the broader yowie mythos. The Alma is an ape-like cryptid native to Central Asia and Western Mongolia. With black, brown, or red fur and claws on their feet, Almas are described as ferocious and strong, instilling fear among locals. They possess some degree of intelligence and have been known to craft basic tools and clothing. One notable story involves an Alma named Zana, who was captured and partially adjusted to human life. Zana even had children, though later DNA testing suggested she was likely of African descent. The Kongomato is a cryptid described as resembling a pterosaur, said to inhabit the central southern regions of Africa, including countries like Angola, Zambia, and the Congo. With leathery, reddish skin, the creature reportedly grows up to 7 feet, about 2 meters in length. The name Kongomato translates to breaker of boats, reflecting its aggressive behavior. The creature is infamous for attacking people and attempting to capsize boats, instilling fear throughout the region. A particularly chilling report from 1911 claimed that 4 people were killed in an attack by the Kongomato. However, sightings of the Kongomato have dwindled over time. The last reported encounter occurred in the 1950s. By the 1990s, when researcher Brian Irwin interviewed locals, only one elderly man remembered the creature. If the Kongomato ever existed, it is now considered likely extinct. Like its counterpart, the Ropen, the Kongomato was said to feed on fish and occasionally dig through human graveyards. The Altamaha is a grayish-green aquatic cryptid said to inhabit the Altamaha River in Georgia. It is described as having flippers on the front of its body and a long tail at the back, with a snake-like or eel-like appearance. On one occasion, it was spotted struggling to free itself from a shallow riverbank, suggesting it may attempt to go on land. Evidence of the Altamaha includes at least one alleged video, though it does not capture the creature clearly. John James Audubon was a renowned ornithologist and painter who traveled across the United States, documenting the birds he encountered through his remarkable artwork. His work culminated in the publication of The Birds of America, a book that features his paintings of various bird species. While most of the birds in this collection are well-known species, there are a few that have never been identified. These mysterious birds include Townsend's finch, Cuvier's kinglet, the carbonated swamp warbler, the small-headed flycatcher, Washington's eagle, and the blue mountain warbler. Theories about these birds range from misidentifications of existing species to the possibility that Audubon fabricated them. It's possible these birds were already rare during his time and may have since gone extinct. Unless these elusive species are found, their true story remains a mystery. Ineweo and Podiwolo are cryptids similar to the Ibu Gogo, all of which are found in Indonesia. These creatures share a short stature and dark skin. The primary difference between Ineweo and Podiwolo compared to the Ibu Gogo is their more pig-like noses and reputed supernatural powers, including shape-shifting abilities. In the 1980s, stories began to surface in the United States about eerie children with completely black eyes. These black-eyed children were reported to appear in public places such as highways or outside people's windows and doors. Little else is known about these children, with believers speculating they might be a type of cryptid, alien, or the result of demonic possession. The Bukit Timah monkey man is a cryptid reportedly found in the Bukit Timah forests of Singapore. Stories of this creature date back to the 18th century, with local Malaysians recounting sightings of a monkey-faced creature walking upright. Many initial witnesses mistook it for a human until they noticed its distinctly monkey-like face. The creature is also known for its loud shrieking, which adds to its mystique. Sightings of the Bukit Timah monkey man continue to be reported fairly frequently, even to this day. Isi is a Japanese-like monster purported to inhabit Lake Ikeda on the island of Kyushu. According to a sighting in 1978, the creature is described as black with 2 humps and can reach lengths of up to 9 meters, 30 feet. Legend has it that Isi was originally a horse living on Kyushu Island with her foal. When a samurai stole her daughter, she leapt into Lake Ikeda out of sorrow and transformed into the creature known as Isi. This cryptid has since become a popular tourist attraction in the region. The Barmouth Monster is a mysterious sea creature located in the Menai Straits near the United Kingdom. According to reports, in 1805, a ship traveling through the straits encountered the Barmouth Monster as it rose from the water and attached itself to the boat. Sailors engaged in a struggle with the creature until they managed to force it back into the water. Sightings of the Barmouth Monster are rare, occurring approximately every 30 years, with a notable photograph purportedly taken in 2016. Named after the town of Beeman, the Beeman Monster is a gorilla-like cryptid native to Missouri. According to legend, a massive 12-foot, 4-meter gorilla escaped from a circus, and sightings since then are believed to be its offspring. The Beeman Monster is notorious for attacking livestock, with large, widely spaced footprints often found at the scenes of these incidents. The Olichiao is a large bat cryptid native to Central West Africa, said to have a wingspan of about 12 feet. According to reports, this cryptid swoops down at humans, and there have been accounts of explorers narrowly escaping by diving into water just seconds before the Olichiao could grab them. It is believed that the Olichiao may be related to the Kongamato, another cryptid known for similar descriptions and sightings in the same region. Air rods, also known as skyfish or flying rods, are small thin objects that typically appear in videos and photos. Some cryptozoologists suggest these rods might be a type of atmospheric flying creature, or even a form of extraterrestrial life. However, skeptics argue that they are simply optical illusions. Apart from photographic evidence, little is known about the behavior or nature of these mysterious rods. The ivory-billed woodpecker was a species native to America and Cuba, driven to extinction by hunting and deforestation, with the last confirmed sighting in 1944. However, much like the thylacine, there have been numerous reports of sightings well into the modern day. Some ornithologists have gone on expeditions and claimed to find evidence of the bird's continued existence. However, distinguishing the ivory-billed woodpecker from its relatives, such as the pileated or red-headed woodpeckers, is challenging. Despite the searches and alleged proof, no conclusive evidence of the ivory-billed woodpecker's survival has been found. The Flathead Lake Monster is an eel-like water cryptid native to Flathead Lake, Montana, measuring between 20 to 40 feet, 6 to 12 meters in length. Like many American cryptids, its origins may lie in Native American lore. According to a story from the Kootenai tribe, a lake monster drowned several tribe members after being disturbed by 2 girls. Sightings of the creature describe it as resembling a whale or sturgeon, and many eyewitnesses find it genuinely scary. Interestingly, one small child claimed to have been saved from drowning by the monster. Cadborosaurus, or caddy for short, is a sea serpent native to the western coast of Canada. It is said to have a long, serpent-like body with 2 sets of small flippers for propulsion. Caddy shares similarities with creatures from Native American lore, leading to theories connecting it to these legends. Unlike many water cryptids, caddy is sighted fairly frequently, and some individuals have even claimed to capture it. In 1968 and 1991, 2 men fishing on the Pacific coast reported capturing small caddies, although they claimed to have released them. Dozens of washed-up carcasses have been linked to caddy, though experts often identify them as seals, sharks, or whales. Despite this, caddy remains one of North America's most popular sea cryptids. The Tsuchinoko is a snake-like cryptid native to Japan, especially western Japan. It ranges from 30 to 80 centimeters, 1 to 2 feet in length. Unlike most snakes, it can jump into the air and reportedly jump again while airborne. It is much wider than typical snakes and possesses venomous fangs. In traditional folklore, the Tsuchinoko was said to have the power of human speech. Sightings of the Tsuchinoko continue to this day. The Ebu Gogo, meaning old one who eats anything, are small, human-like cryptids native to Indonesia. They are described as having wide faces, flat noses, and hairy bodies. They are said to be fast runners and communicate in an unknown language. Stories of the Ebu Gogo go back centuries and describe conflicts between them and human tribes. They were reportedly known to abduct children and steal food, leading to them being hunted to extinction sometime in the 20th century. Some theorize that the Ebu Gogo might be descendants of Homo floresiensis, an extinct species of hominin found in Indonesia. The Mapiaguari, also known as Mapinguari or Mapinguari, is a cryptid native to the Amazonian jungles of South America. It is often described in varying accounts, sometimes as a hairy ape or a cyclops-like figure with a mouth on its stomach, though the most common depiction resembles a giant ground sloth. The giant ground sloth, which went extinct around 12,000 years ago, was about 6 meters, 20 feet long. In contrast, the Mapiaguari is said to be smaller, standing at about 2 meters, 6.5 feet tall, but is still massive in size. The creature is described as reddish-brown with distinctive curved claws and emits a strong odor that can reportedly cause unconsciousness in humans. It primarily feeds on a diet of vegetables and fruits, though there are reports of it consuming cow tongues. The Mapiaguari is capable of walking on all fours and occasionally stands upright, albeit awkwardly. Some reports even claim it can run fairly fast. Typically nocturnal, the Mapiaguari communicates with a combination of low, very loud bellowing and high-pitched, terrifyingly loud, human-like screeches. Honey Island Swamp Monster, also known as the Cajun Bigfoot, is a cryptid reportedly inhabiting the Honey Island Swamp in southeastern Louisiana. Descriptions of the creature suggest it stands at about 7 feet, 2 meters tall, with characteristics such as glowing red or orange eyes, gray or brown fur, and emits a foul odor similar to the skunk ape. Unlike typical Bigfoot sightings, footprints attributed to the Honey Island Swamp Monster have been reported to have 3 or 4 webbed toes, which is unusual for primates. Reports indicate that the creature is carnivorous, with one incident in 2016 allegedly linking its presence to a group of dead wild boars. This cryptid remains a subject of interest and speculation in cryptozoology, with ongoing efforts to document and understand its existence and behavior in the swampy regions of Louisiana. The Beast of Gévaudan is indeed a chilling tale from French history, spanning the years 1764 to 1767. This mysterious creature, described as wolf-like but larger and more formidable, terrorized the Gévaudan region in south-central France. Its attacks were brutal and claimed numerous lives, with estimates ranging widely from 60 to 500 victims. Witnesses reported that the beast was exceptionally large, with some accounts suggesting it was as tall as a calf and had a longer tail than a typical wolf. Its ferocity was such that it reportedly resisted bullets on several occasions, adding to its mystique and fear among the local population. Despite concerted efforts to hunt it down, including organized hunting parties and royal intervention, the beast continued its reign of terror until 1767, when a local hunter named John Chastel supposedly killed a creature that matched the descriptions. This event marked the end of the attacks attributed to the Beast of Gévaudan. Post-mortem examinations of the creature reportedly revealed human remains in its stomach, fueling speculation about its nature and origins. Various theories have since emerged, ranging from it being an undiscovered species of wolf, or a surviving member of a prehistoric species like the dire wolf, to even more exotic suggestions involving hybrid animals or supernatural causes. With no modern sightings and the passage of more than 300 years, the true identity of the Beast of Gévaudan remains shrouded in mystery and speculation, likely to never be definitively solved. The Orang Pendek is indeed a fascinating cryptid reported to inhabit the remote forests of Sumatra, Indonesia. Described as a bipedal ape-like creature, It stands between 80 to 150 centimeters tall, approximately 30 to 60 inches, and is known for its remarkable strength relative to its size. Witnesses often describe it as having a body resembling a chimpanzee with a human-like face. Reports from local tribes and explorers span several centuries, with consistent descriptions of the creature feeding on fruits, vegetables, and occasionally scavenging for meat. Despite numerous sightings and anecdotal evidence, conclusive physical evidence such as clear photographs or videos remains elusive. One of the few pieces of potential evidence is a footprint discovered in 1999, which adds to the intrigue surrounding this mysterious creature. The Megalania, a now extinct giant monitor lizard native to Australia, has fueled speculation about its potential survival into modern times. Reports of large lizard-like creatures attacking livestock in Australia date back to around 1890, particularly from the town of Euroa, describing creatures between 20 to 40 feet, 6 to 12 meters long. There is an account from New Guinea where a group traveling by boat allegedly saw a large lizard resting on a fallen tree, which was later measured by a priest to be about 40 feet long, suggesting that the Megalania might also exist in New Guinea. These reports contribute to the belief among some cryptozoologists and enthusiasts that the Megalania may still inhabit remote parts of Australia and possibly New Guinea, eluding confirmation due to the vast and rugged terrain of these regions. However, conclusive evidence remains elusive, and the existence of living Megalania is still speculative. Similar in appearance to a bishop, the sea bishop or bishop fish is an aquatic cryptid with a history dating back to the 16th century. According to one story, Germans captured the creature, but it refused to eat and died soon after. In another version, it was brought to Poland and made a sign of the cross to a group of bishops who then released it. Since these events, the sea bishop has not been sighted, and there is no known connection to the sea monk. The White River Monster, also known as Whitey, resides within the White River in Arkansas. Described as a large fish, it is said to be about 3 car lengths long and resembles a catfish with the grayish skin texture of an elephant. Legend has it that the creature dates back to the Civil War era, where local stories recount it overturning boats on the White River. By the 1940s, the White River Monster had gained significant fame, becoming a local tourist attraction. Numerous attempts were made to capture it, culminating in the Arkansas legislature designating the area as the White River Monster Refuge in 1973, making it illegal to harm the creature. The green-clawed beast is an obscure cryptid known from a single report in 1955, occurring in the Ohio River near Evansville, Indiana. Naomi Johnson reported being swimming when she was grabbed by what she described as a furry hand from underwater, pulling her down multiple times. Fortunately, her friend with an inner tube was able to rescue her, allowing Naomi to escape. The creature left a greenish-blue mark on Naomi's leg, which persisted for days. Despite the incident, the green-clawed beast has never been sighted again, as no one else in the water saw the creature or encountered it. Named for the Andes mountain range in South America, the Andean wolf is a cryptid allegedly resembling a species of wolf native to the region. In 1927, a skin purported to be from the Andean wolf was examined, though scientists were divided over whether it belonged to a new species or a known dog breed. Additional skins have been claimed to exist, but none have surfaced, leaving the existence of the Andean wolf unproven. In 1955, an infamous encounter known as the Kelly-Hopkinsville encounter unfolded in Kentucky, where a small group of armed individuals found themselves in a confrontation with strange creatures referred to as the Hopkinsville Goblins. Eyewitnesses described the Hopkinsville Goblins as silver-grayish creatures standing about 3 feet, approximately a meter, tall, with thin, long arms and pointed upright ears. These goblins were reported to have floated around the house where the eyewitnesses were located, terrifying the occupants, especially the children, by peering into windows. In an attempt to defend themselves, the residents fired at the creatures, but the gunfire seemed to have no effect. Following the incident, both local police and military personnel conducted investigations in the area, but found no evidence of the creatures aside from bullet holes in the residence where the residents had fired at them. Since then, there have been no further reported sightings of the Hopkinsville Goblins. Sighted in New Jersey, the mantis man is described as an 8-foot-tall, brownish and transparent creature resembling a large mantis. This cryptid has been observed spreading its wings in what appears to be a threatening gesture to eyewitnesses. The transparency of the creature is attributed to its ability to camouflage itself. The Morosi, also known as the Abba in Ethiopia, is a feline cryptid native to East Africa. Described as a hybrid between a lion and a leopard, the creature is noted for its ferocious behavior. Scientific interest in the Morosi heightened after specimens with unique spotted patterns, uncommon in adult lions, were reportedly shot. Despite subsequent expeditions to gather evidence, the existence of the Morosi remains unproven. The Bandar Log, also known as the Monkey People, were described as a peculiar race of monkey-like beings reportedly encountered in 19th century India. They derived their name from the locals who observed their monkey-like characteristics. According to early accounts, 2 Bandar Log individuals were captured. Attempts to communicate with them revealed a language that some likened to the local Tahangar dialect. While some speculated that they belonged to an undiscovered human tribe, others suggested they might be part of an unknown species of monkey-like creatures residing in the forests of India. In 1952, 3 children in a West Virginia town reported seeing an unidentified flying object land in a local farm field. They gathered more people and set out to investigate the crash site. On their way, they encountered a strange red light and decided to shine a flashlight towards it, revealing a bizarre creature standing in the road. According to witnesses, the creature stood approximately 10 feet tall, about 3 meters, had glowing orange eyes, and a head resembling a large hood. This creature, later dubbed the Flatwoods Monster, reportedly hissed at the group and began gliding towards them, prompting them to drop the flashlight and flee in fear. Upon subsequent investigation of the site, a strange smell, a gummy substance, and skid marks were discovered, leading many to speculate that the incident was linked to a UFO landing. Despite the initial frenzy, the Flatwoods Monster has not been sighted since. Morag is a cryptid much like the Loch Ness Monster, but resides in Loch Morar. The most famous encounter occurred in 1969, when 2 men accidentally collided with the creature in their boat. In the chaos that followed, the men had to defend themselves, and one of them shot Morag with a rifle, causing it to retreat back into the depths. Despite various expeditions to find it, no concrete evidence of Morag's existence has ever been found. The Ventura Marsh Monster is a cryptid reportedly located in Ventura, Iowa. Described as large and hairy, this creature is said to inhabit the marshlands of the area. Not much else is known about this elusive cryptid beyond these sparse sightings. The Up Island wolf spider is a unique type of wolf spider native to Islesboro Island, Maine. What sets it apart from other wolf spiders is its extraordinary size and weight, with some reports suggesting it is large enough for people to hear its footsteps. The Ashuaps is a long serpentine cryptid reportedly native to Quebec and Canada, said to inhabit the Asheville Mushroom River. Sightings of this creature date back to the 1950s, with eyewitnesses describing it as a serpent up to 18 meters in length, and typically black or blue in color. One sighting even claimed the creature overturned a boat. While sightings were plentiful from the 1950s to the 1990s, they have become rare since then, leading some to speculate that the creature may have gone extinct in the late 1990s. The Tuttle Bottoms Monster, a peculiar creature described as a mix between an ape and an anteater, is said to inhabit Illinois. Sightings have been reported since 1963, with the creature reportedly being unafraid of humans. Although it generally seems friendly, some accounts link it to local murders. The monster hasn't been seen since the 1970s, and one local theory suggests it might have been a government experiment that later died. Another mysterious American bird, the multicolored Florida painted vulture, was sighted in Florida by William Bartram in the 1770s. Further investigation revealed that this bird also matched another sighting from the 1730s. However, aside from these few reports, the creature hasn't been seen for centuries. The scientific and birding communities are divided on whether it was real, a misidentification, or just a myth. The Igopogo is another Canadian lake cryptid, this time from Lake Simcoe in Ontario. Also known as the Kempenfelt Kelly, named after a nearby bay, the Igopogo is noted for its distinctively dog-shaped head. It's also said to enjoy sunbathing, suggesting it might breathe air rather than underwater like a fish. In 1741, zoologist George Steller reported seeing a creature, now known as Steller's sea ape, during a seafaring trip to the Aleutian Islands in Alaska. Steller described it as being about 5 feet long, with a dog-like head and whiskers, a thick body without limbs, and 2 fins at the end. The creature was playful, almost monkey-like, and could perform tricks such as juggling seaweed. Steller attempted to shoot it twice but missed both times, and the creature disappeared. It was only seen once more in 1965 by 2 sailors near Alaska. While some scientists believe it could have been a seal, most of Steller's notes were lost, making identification difficult. Gums is a peculiar freshwater shark said to inhabit the rivers of Paraguay. Named for its toothless mouth, this shark reportedly swallows people whole. If it exists, it would be a unique species, as most sharks live in saltwater and have teeth to tear their prey, not swallow them whole. From Argentina, the Emich is a strange creature first sighted in 1897 by Argentinian paleontologist Florentino Ameghino. Described as nocturnal and incredibly strong, it is said to drag horses into the water with its claws. The creature has a short head, large canine teeth, no external ears, and short plantigrade feet with 3 toes on the front and 4 on the back, which are webbed and armed with formidable claws. Its long, flat, prehensile tail aids in swimming. One man claimed to have a sample of its fur, which supposedly had bony plates for protection. Enfield Monster. In 1973, the small town of Enfield, Illinois, became the center of attention due to sightings of a strange creature. It all began when a local resident, Henry McDaniel, reported seeing a bizarre beast with 3 legs, a short body, 2 small arms, and 2 large pink eyes that shone like flashlights. The creature stood 4.5 feet tall and was gray-colored. McDaniel saw the creature multiple times, even shooting at it once. Described as resembling a human or ape, the cryptid left dog-like footprints and demonstrated an astonishing ability to jump long distances. According to McDaniel, the creature could travel 50 feet in just 3 jumps. Although a few others claimed to have seen the Enfield Monster, sightings ceased after a couple of years, leaving the mystery of this peculiar creature unresolved. The Alula whale is said to resemble an orca, but is brown in color instead of the typical black and white of its better-known counterpart. Originally sighted by navigator Willem Brines near the Gulf of Aden, this whale is also reported to have star-shaped scars on its body. Beyond these descriptions, little else is known about this cryptid. The mangwa, also known as the Nandi bear, is a mysterious gray big cat said to roam Tanzania. It resembles a leopard in appearance but is as large as a lion. Reports of the mangwa surfaced after a series of attacks on Tanzanian citizens. In one instance, a watchman discovered his partner killed in an animal attack, with pieces of gray fur found near the body. Similar incidents occurred subsequently, all leaving behind gray fur. While some initially attributed the attacks to lions, no lions were spotted in the area during the attacks. Moreover, a local hunter who survived one encounter claimed the assailant was the mangwa. This sighting was among the last reported, and the creature has not been seen since the 1930s. The monster of Monterey, also known as Bobble, is a cryptid reported off the shores of California. Descriptions of the creature vary, but most accounts agree that it was large, possibly as big as a whale, and had wrinkly skin. The most notable sighting occurred in 1925 when a carcass washed up on shore. The carcass somewhat resembled a plesiosaur, leading to speculation that Bobble could be a surviving member of this ancient species. Philippine secretary bird. In 1771, explorer Pierre Sonnerat reported seeing a bird similar to the secretary bird during his travels in the Philippines. This is unusual because the secretary bird is only found in Africa. If Sonnerat's sighting was real, It raises questions about how the bird reached the Philippines, especially in an era when oceanic travel was not as common as it is today. If it wasn't transported there, it might have been a yet undiscovered species. The ground shark is a 25-foot-long shark, one of the largest in the Timor Sea, near the island of Timor in Australia. This shark is known for lying in the sand and dirt at the bottom of the sea, waiting for its prey to swim past before attacking. Disturbingly, it is said to attack and feed on humans. Civatherium was a species similar to giraffes that went extinct around 8,000 years ago. However, some believe they survived much longer and might still exist today. It's been theorized that Civatherium could be the real identity of certain cryptids in Africa. Tailed slow loris. In 1889, two-tailed slow lorises were captured in modern-day India. These creatures were unique because they had tails, unlike normal slow lorises. Unfortunately, they escaped before they could be properly examined, and a single photograph is the only evidence of their existence. The marsupial tapir is a strange creature reported in Queensland, Australia. Described as large, furry, four-legged animals with large snouts, some accounts note they have a proboscis. In a 2013 sighting, the tapirs were almost the size of cows. Another report mentioned that they fed on hot bushes, a type of flower. Both accounts agree that the tapir is very rare, with only a few sightings ever recorded. Hailing from Venezuela, the vasitri, also known as the hairy man of the woods, is an extremely dangerous ape-like cryptid. Reports suggest this creature is advanced enough to build huts and is known to abduct women and feed on human flesh. However, one woman claimed she was abducted and had children with the vasitri. Contrary to other reports, she described the vasitri as gentle. She eventually returned to civilization, leading to speculation that the vasitri might be a group of humans, or even surviving Neanderthals. The jihur is described as having the body of a turtle, a long neck and 4 legs with claws. Sightings suggest it can grow up to 20 feet. These creatures are said to feed on buffalo, dragging them into the water and leaving only bones behind. A reptile partially matching the jihur's description was reportedly photographed in Andhra Pradesh, though the photo remains elusive. Although the Americas once had lions similar to their African counterparts, they are estimated to have gone extinct around 11,000 years ago. Despite this, there have been occasional sightings of lions in North America. One notable account dates back to 1797, when a man allegedly shot a lion that was hunting his livestock. It is unclear whether these sightings are of escaped lions from zoos and private collections, hoaxes, surviving members of the supposedly extinct species, or a different species entirely. The Boggy Creek Monster, also known as the Folk Monster, is a Bigfoot-like creature native to Arkansas. It got its name from the town of Folk, where it was first reported, although sightings of similar creatures in the area date back over a century. The Boggy Creek Monster gained notoriety in 1971 when it attacked a home. For days prior, the Ford family had been hearing strange noises outside their new residence, but dismissed them. One night, Elizabeth Ford was awakened when something reached inside her screen door. Initially, she thought it was a bear, but quickly realized it was something far more terrifying. Her husband and brother-in-law managed to scare it off, even firing several shots. Following this incident, numerous sightings of the creature were reported in the area. However, several people were fined for filing false reports, and local law enforcement had to ban the use of guns to hunt the creature to prevent accidental shootings. Despite this, sightings of the Boggy Creek Monster continue to this day. Tessie is a cryptid said to inhabit Lake Tahoe in Nevada. Resembling a plesiosaur, Tessie is rooted in local Native American legends, which claim it resides in underwater tunnels. Described as very large and exceptionally fast, some reports suggest it can travel at speeds of up to 60 miles per hour, 97 kilometers per hour, and reach lengths of 60 feet. Other than these descriptions, little else is known about Tessie. The dodo is a dangerous ape-like cryptid native to Cameroon, distinguished by its 3 toes and 3 fingers. While it typically does not attack humans, it has been known to harass them. The dodo's most peculiar trait is its eating ritual. It attacks other animals, such as gorillas and antelopes, leaves the corpses to rot, and returns days later to eat the maggots off the decomposed bodies. Although there have been claims of Dotis being killed or captured by locals, no physical evidence has been found. During World War I, a German U-boat reportedly encountered a massive sea monster while attacking British ships. After sinking one, an underwater explosion sent parts of the ship, along with a giant sea creature resembling a crocodile, flying into the air. This creature, dubbed the U-28 sea monster, quickly sank back into the water and hasn't been seen since. Some believe it was a surviving mosasaurus, an ancient sea creature thought to have gone extinct millions of years ago. Described as a cross between a pale whale and a human, the Ningen is white-skinned and reportedly has human-like hands, fingers, and legs. These creatures are believed to grow up to 27 meters. Modern reports of the Ningen originated from 2chan, the Japanese predecessor to 4chan, where whale ships were said to have sighted the creature near the Antarctic coast. While many photos of the Ningen have circulated, most appear to be misidentifications or hoaxes. The hoop snake, native to North America, looks like an ordinary snake but has a peculiar trait. It can grab its tail in its mouth and roll after its prey like a hoop. A similar ability is sometimes attributed to Japan's Tuchinoko. Although there have been sightings of the hoop snake from the 1700s to modern times, most scientists doubt its existence. The Gloucester sea serpent has been sighted off the coast of Gloucester, Massachusetts, since the 1600s. Descriptions depict it as a long, slender serpent, occasionally sporting a horn-like structure on its head, leading some to speculate it might be a narwhal. Despite numerous reports over the centuries, there is no physical evidence to support the existence of this sea serpent. Chessie is a reputed sea monster inhabiting the Chesapeake Bay on the east coast of the United States. The first recorded sighting was in 1936 by a helicopter pilot who spotted a strange reptilian creature in the water. Since then, numerous sightings have described a snake-like being up to 30 feet. Chessie has become a cultural and environmental icon in Maryland and the surrounding areas. Seen off the coast of Alaska, the man seal is a mysterious cryptid described as having a seal-like body with the head of a man. While it bears some resemblance to Steller's sea ape, the man seal has a more distinctly human face. Local native tales abound, with stories of mer beings living in the water, which might have been inspired by the man seals. The mitla is a small cryptid, reported only a few times in Bolivia, South America. It is described as looking like a cross between a dog and a cat, specifically a lynx. Cryptozoologist Ivan T. Sanderson once examined the skin of a mitla and described it as a mix between an African serval and a lynx. Unfortunately, little else is known about this elusive creature. According to Iroquois legends, the naked bear was an American cryptid that supposedly went extinct in the 17th century. It was named for its lack of hair, except for long hair on its hind legs. These animals were so dangerous that natives, including the Mohicans, reportedly hunted them to extinction to protect their hunters. There are no recent sightings or evidence of the creature, making it difficult to prove its existence. Water lions, water leopards, and jungle walruses. These names refer to strange water-dwelling cryptids from Central Africa. They are described as having large fangs and tusks, a cat-like appearance, and feeding on animals as large as hippos. There are many differing accounts of their appearance and behavior, but sightings are believed to date back to the 1700s, when strange clawed tracks were found in the Congo. One theory suggests that these creatures could be surviving saber-toothed tigers. Lake Van Monster. Located in Lake Van in eastern Turkey, the Lake Van monsters are water cryptids with a long history. Sightings of these creatures, referred to as vishaps or water dragons, date back to the 5th century. In 1889, travelers washing their hands in the lake were attacked by the monster. One man was seized by the creature, and despite his friend's attempts to fight it off with fire, the beast dragged the man into the lake after reacting in extreme pain when hit by the flames. The man was never seen again. The creature regained attention in the 1990s with more reported sightings, including one alleged video. However, the mystery of what might lurk in Lake Van remains unsolved. Savory's macaw, also known as the Martinique macaw, is a very obscure cryptid bird. Early explorers and scientists in the Caribbean reported seeing macaws with unique feather colors that have not been observed since. For instance, a macaw depicted in a painting of a dodo bird by Roland Savory had yellow feathers on its underbelly. Beyond these early accounts and paintings, there is no evidence of the macaw's existence, and it is likely extinct if it ever existed at all. The Sykesville Monster, first reported in the 1970s in Maryland, resembles Bigfoot, but with a more human-like Neanderthal appearance. In 1981, an eyewitness described seeing the creature fighting a stray dog and emitting a strange ticking noise. The monster is named after the town of Sykesville, where the sighting occurred, and there are claims that local authorities covered up its existence. According to the only known sighting, sailors spotted a 30-foot, 9-meter tall kangaroo near a forest on the coast of New Zealand. After seeing the men, the kangaroo took 2 enormous jumps, with each hop measuring about 60 feet, before swimming away and disappearing. It has never been seen again. The story of the giant Ethiopian lizard comes from Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the famous author of the Sherlock Holmes series. Doyle heard the tale from a hunter in Ethiopia who claimed to have encountered a lizard about 3 to 3.5 meters long, with gray skin and long claws. Thankfully, the hunter refrained from shooting it, recognizing it as likely being a rare creature. Unfortunately, details are scarce since the hunter's name is unknown, and the native name for the lizard was not recorded by Doyle, who died shortly after hearing the story. Located on Ben Macdui, one of Scotland's largest peaks, the Big Grey Man is a strange humanoid figure said to inhabit the area near the summit. In one encounter, mountaineer John Colley described hearing unnerving footsteps in the mist while descending from the summit. He recounted, "Every few steps I took, I heard a crunch as if someone was walking after me, but taking steps 3 or 4 times the length of my own." Other reports from the mountain describe a tall, thin figure with a hairy body, often obscured by fog and barely visible. When Columbus landed in the Bahamas in 1492, he reported that his crew encountered and killed 2 serpents. While it remains uncertain what exactly these creatures were, it's noted that Columbus also mentioned killing snakes and lizards on the island, suggesting the serpents may have been something different. Some scientists speculate they could have been crocodiles, based on the discovery of crocodile bones in the region. Known as the Abu Sotan or Wobo, this cryptid is described as a large cat larger than a lion, with a yellowish coloration and a hybrid appearance resembling a cross between a leopard and a lion. Sightings of this cryptic cat have been reported in Sudan and Ethiopia, but apart from these accounts, little else is known about it. In Australia, reports of large felines, commonly referred to as big cats, have persisted for decades despite not being native to the continent. According to local legends, during World War II, Australian soldiers returning from overseas may have brought big cats like panthers, leopards, and jaguars as mascots or pets, which were then released into the wild, establishing breeding populations. One notable example is the Blue Mountain panther, named after the Blue Mountains in eastern Australia, with numerous sightings reported over the past century, including video footage resembling a panther captured as recently as 2020. Government and independent inquiries have been conducted due to reports of livestock attacks, suggesting the possible existence of a big cat population, yet conclusive physical evidence remains elusive, keeping the mystery alive in Australia's wilderness. Nahuelito is a mysterious creature believed to inhabit Nahuel Huapi Lake in Argentina. Descriptions of the creature vary, with some saying it resembles a plesiosaur, while others liken it to a sea serpent. Although its exact size is unknown, it is presumed to be similar to other well-known lake monsters. The first notable reports of Nahuelito emerged in 1897, when an Argentine zookeeper began hearing stories of a strange being living in the lake. Despite efforts to find concrete evidence, no physical proof was uncovered. However, the zookeeper discovered that local natives had long told similar tales of the creature, though such sightings are now rare. In one intriguing account, the Argentine Navy reportedly tracked an unidentified underwater object in the lake for several weeks but could not determine what it was. The Loveland frog is a cryptid reported to be a humanoid frog standing about 4 feet tall. The first sighting occurred in Loveland, Ohio, when a man saw several of these creatures under a bridge. A curious detail from this sighting is that one of the frogs was holding an object that emitted sparks, and the creatures were said to smell of almonds and alfalfa. The case garnered more attention in 1972 when a police officer reported seeing one of these creatures. However, this sighting was later explained as an escaped iguana. Following this, sightings of the Loveland frog ceased, leaving its existence uncertain. The glowing mudskipper is exactly what it sounds like, a mudskipper with bioluminescence. Found in Indonesia, little is known about this creature except that a man attempted to capture one in 1986, but failed. Similar to the megalania, the giant goanna is a large species of cryptid lizard native to Australia. These lizards can grow up to 30 feet, 9 meters in length, and are said to be very aggressive. One man claimed the creature attacked him, producing a roar described as a mix between a dog and a lion. Aboriginal people are reportedly cautious of encountering the creature. Due to the lack of consistent sightings and evidence, it's unclear whether the giant goanna is the megalania or a different species altogether. Located in South Africa, the grootslang is described as a mix between a snake and an elephant. Some accounts depict it with a snake-like body and an elephant-like head, while others describe it as a large snake with elephant-like skin and orange eyes. In 1917, the grootslang gained infamy when a man searching for diamonds went missing in a cave where the creature was said to live. Known as the bottomless pit, this cave is reputed to lure elephants inside to devour them. The grootslang is also said to reside in rivers and lakes. The Beast of Bray Road is a werewolf-like humanoid creature from Wisconsin, first sighted on Bray Road. Standing at about 6 feet, 2 meters tall, it moves on its hind legs or on all fours. Reports of aggressive behavior include attacks on cars and livestock. The creature is often compared to the Michigan Dogman. The Michigan Dogman is a werewolf-like humanoid first sighted in Michigan by 2 lumberjacks. Reports allege it attacked a man along with a group of dogs. Unlike the Beast of Bray Road, the Michigan Dogman is more human-like, typically walking on 2 legs. The Totzel worm, also known as the Alpine dragon, has many variations in appearance. Most accounts describe it as having a cat-like face and about 6 short, strong legs. Some depictions suggest it has many limbs like a caterpillar, a forked tongue, fur or bristles on its back, venomous poison breath, and emits a hissing or high-pitched sound. In one account, a Totzel worm rose onto its hind legs after encountering a man. The creature's varied descriptions and behavior make it difficult to pinpoint its exact appearance. Despite suggestions in the 1800s that the Totzel worm had gone extinct, reports of sightings continue to this day. The Agogwe is a humanoid, ape-like creature standing 4 to 5 feet, 1 to 1.5 meters tall, resembling a chimpanzee but with a rounder head, redder hair, and sharper teeth. Sightings of the Agogwe have been reported in East Africa, from Mozambique to Tanzania. It is a rare creature with only a handful of sightings. It was reported to mingle with baboons. Some theorize that the Agogwe might be a surviving species of Australopithecus, an early human relative. Owlman is an English cryptid native to Cornwall, described as a mix between a man and an owl. The first sighting in the 1970s involved 2 girls reporting the creature flying over a church. Later sightings described red eyes, pointy ears, and a silver color. Little else is known about its behavior. The Deer Man. The Deer Man is a North American cryptid resembling a deer that walks on its hind legs. Reports of sightings began in 1993, with a notable incident occurring in an Oklahoma wildlife refuge in 2012. According to witnesses, 2 photographers encountered animals fleeing as if scared, prompting them to retreat to their vehicle. From there, they witnessed the Deer Man emerge from the forest and give chase, forcing them to drive away quickly to escape its pursuit. While they heard its screams in the distance, they did not encounter it again. Sundog. The sundog is a mythological creature featured in various South and Central American cultures. In the 1950s, zoologist Hyatt Verrill claimed to have discovered an unknown species resembling the sundog. Allegedly captured in southern Mexico, this creature had a distinctive lower jaw longer than its upper jaw and a long tongue, measuring about 60 centimeters or 2 feet in length. The sundog was known to be fierce, often attacking people. All that remains of it is a photograph taken by Hyatt Verrill. The Afanya, an ape-like cryptid reported from the Kola Peninsula in northwestern Russia, has been described as aggressive, having reportedly chased a group of teenagers. Despite efforts to track and lure the creature using recordings, attempts to capture it have been unsuccessful. The sisamite, a cryptid from Central and South America, is known for its violent nature. Although human-like, it has only 4 fingers and a gorilla-like build. One explorer claimed a sisamite killed a member of his group with its claws. Sightings have decreased since the 1940s. Flying frogmen. In the summer of 1880, a strange flying creature was seen over Coney Island, New York. Described as a man with bat wings and frog legs, it was spotted about 1,000 feet or 300 meters in the air, with a cruel expression on its face. This remains the only known sighting, with some speculating it might have been a joke about a local preacher known for his acrobatic feats. Hairy South American dwarf. In the southern regions of Chile and Argentina, there are reports of the hairy South American dwarf. This creature is described as small and hairy, with some reports claiming it has abnormally long arms. And there's not much information available on it. In fact, even illustrations of it are hard to find. Flying humanoids are reported worldwide, describing strange human-like creatures with various appearances. Some resemble animals with eagle feathers or bat-like wings, while others appear more human-like. These sightings are reminiscent of the owl man, Mothman, and other cryptids. The Rothschild Neuville tusk was discovered in Ethiopia around 1904. Smaller than an elephant tusk and featuring grooves, it was initially believed to belong to the Colossosaurus, a large cryptid animal with downward-facing tusks. However, later theories linked the tusk to other cryptids, including unknown big cats in the region. The tusk eventually went missing. Living mammoths. Despite their extinction thousands of years ago, reports of living mammoths persist. Most sightings occur in Siberia, with fewer reports from Alaska and Canada. These sightings often happen near bodies of water, such as lakes and rivers. However, there is no definitive proof of their survival, aside from a very grainy video from Siberia. Salawa. The Salawa is a dog-like creature from Egypt, reported to have attacked villages in the 1960s and 1990s, causing several deaths. While some investigations suggested hyenas were responsible for the 1990 attacks, the true identity of the Salawa remains a mystery. Giant rabbit. Sightings of a giant rabbit in Australia describe the creature as 9 feet long and 12 feet tall. These rabbits are reported to be incredibly fast, disappearing quickly from sight. Many believe these giant rabbits might be an undiscovered species of large kangaroo. The Girt dog of Ennerdale was a dog-like creature blamed for killing and consuming hundreds of sheep during the summer of 1810. Described as either a large tiger-striped dog or lion-like, it baffled hunters with its silent movements and alleged blood-drinking habits. Weighing 51 kilograms when shot, its identity remains a mystery, with theories ranging from a Tasmanian tiger escapee to a large dog or lion. Unfortunately, its taxidermied pelt, once displayed publicly, was destroyed in the early 1900s. Native to Madagascar, the Kalanoro was a humanoid cryptid about 2 feet tall, resembling a monkey with 3 backward toes, long fingernails, and spines. Legend holds that Kalanoro stole children and food from villages. Though reportedly captured in 1889, its existence is debated, and deforestation is believed to have driven it to extinction. Recent sightings, including a reported sighting by a U.S. Navy SEAL around 2000 in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, suggest ongoing interest in the Kalanoro. Steller's sea cow. Named after German zoologist Georg Steller, Steller's sea cow was a large Sirenian native to the Bering Strait near Alaska. Hunted to extinction around 1768, sightings have persisted, mostly by Alaskan and Russian fishermen. Since no specimens have been captured, it remains disputed whether these sightings are out-of-place elephant seals, surviving stellar sea cows, or an undiscovered subspecies. Living saber-toothed cats. Sporadic reports of surviving saber-toothed cats continue in North America. In 1913, 2 were allegedly shot by U.S. cavalrymen in Arizona. Another sighting occurred in 1946 along a deserted mountainous road in New Mexico. Alvin sea serpent. In 1965, 2 men took a submersible called the Alvin into the waters off the coast of the Bahamas, at a depth of about 5,000 feet. They spotted a large creature with a thick body, flippers, a long neck, a snake-like head, and 2 eyes. The Alvin sea serpent was described as being about 50 feet long. Both men confirmed the sighting, though without proof, they weren't taken seriously. One of the men later identified the creature as resembling a plesiosaur. Flying tiger. Faihu, translating roughly to flying tiger, is a cryptid sighted in Guangzhou, China. With a bat-like wingspan reaching around 30 feet, 9 meters, and covered in brown and yellow fur, the Faihu allegedly ambushes passers-by from bushes to drink their blood. Van Meter visitor. In 1903, Van Meter, Iowa, was visited by a strange creature with bat-like wings, an awful stench, and a beam of light shooting from its forehead. The Van Meter visitor was about 3 meters tall. Gunfire seemed to have no effect on it, and it was often spotted perching on buildings. Some sightings describe it having a smaller companion. The creature eventually disappeared into a nearby coal mine. Sporadic sightings of a bat-like creature in the area have continued, though most sightings stopped after 1903. Canasi Lake monsters. The Canasi Lake monsters are cryptids reported from Canasi Lake in Xinjiang, China. They are described as reddish-brown fish, 10 to 15 meters long. Sightings go back at least to the 1980s, with scientific inquiries made into the reports. Multiple large groups of tourists have reported seeing the monsters, with some capturing them on camera. A video taken in 2005 allegedly shows 2 10-meter-long fish swimming through the water. Living dodo. The dodo was a small flightless bird native to the island of Mauritius before its extinction in the 1600s. Despite becoming a symbol of extinction, there are reports of the bird surviving. Journalist Lawrence G. Green claimed that natives of Mauritius told him there were pockets of surviving dodos in caves on the island as late as the 1930s. Marvin the Monster. In the 1960s, the Shell Oil Company was exploring the waters off the west coast of the United States when their underwater robot, Mobot, spotted a 15-foot, 4.6 meters long animal moving in a spiral motion. The creature disappeared into the ocean and remains unclassified. Giant eel. The giant eel, also known as the super eel and mega eel, is one of the most commonly sighted species of sea serpent. It is described as a longer version of regular eels, which usually don't grow far past 10 feet. Giant eel sightings describe lengths up to 100 feet. One early sighting in 1870 involved a ship catching a 40-foot reddish animal resembling an eel off the coast of Norfolk Island. Other sightings describe the giant eel fighting with large whales. Barmanu. The barmanu is a bipedal primate from northern Pakistan, said to live in mountainous areas, described as having human-like behavior, including kidnapping people and wearing animal skins. Eyewitness reports collected by zoologist Geordie McGranner suggest it resembles Neanderthals. Ting vor, snake-eating cow. The ting vor, or snake-eating cow, is alleged to be native to Cambodia and Vietnam. Its existence was first proposed after unusual horns were found in a Vietnamese market. DNA testing on the horns hasn't shown evidence of a new species. The name comes from legends of the Kang vor eating snakes, which would bite their horns, leading hunters to use the horns as anti-venom. Monogran. The mono grande, or large monkey, is an upright primate reportedly from South America. Early reports claim these cryptids can build structures and are prone to eating humans. They may be related to other large primates in the area, like the vasitri. Unidentified animal from Brunei. A photograph of an unidentified animal from Brunei was uploaded to a nature website in 2013. It had been caught by someone fishing, and the uploader sought to identify it, but no one could. Theories ranged from an anomalocarid, a type of trilobite beetle, or a yet unknown type of invertebrate. African freshwater octopus. The African freshwater octopus is an unusual cryptid reported from parts of Western and Central Africa. Unlike all known species of octopus that live in saltwater, this cryptid is reported to inhabit freshwater. The earliest reports come from the late 1890s, when French explorer Raymond de Montrosier collected legends of octopus-like animals in the Central African Republic and Benin. Although he believed the legends were sensationalized, he thought a real animal was behind them. Later accounts came from even more countries, including a sighting of a bioluminescent octopus. Biologist William Beebe recorded a sighting of a cryptid called the Anutum in southwest Guyana. He described it as a very large, ruddy-colored big cat. Beebe learned about the animal from a local hunter, and also heard reports of another cryptid feline called the Watamaku, described as a large creature with dark fur and some light markings. Thermosodium masaki. Thermosodium masaki is an alleged species of water bear tardigrade, first reported in Nagasaki, Japan in 1937. A German scientist discovered a specimen in a hot spring, but it was never preserved, as was common practice in zoology at the time. Since this initial finding, no additional specimens have been located, leaving the existence of the species in doubt. Indian orangutan. In the early 1800s, naturalist Samuel Tickle reported seeing an orangutan in the jungles of India. Orangutans are typically found in Indonesia and Malaysia, though they once inhabited parts of Southeast Asia until around 10,000 BC. Henry Piddington speculated that the sighting might have been of the Bandar log. Haast's eagle. Haast's eagle was a large eagle native to New Zealand, believed to have gone extinct in the 1400s. However, there were sightings of Haast's eagle-like birds hundreds of years later. In the 1800s, Charles Douglas, a notable explorer of New Zealand, claimed to have shot and eaten 2 large raptors. Johann Haast, the man who first inspected the fossils and for whom the bird was named, also reportedly saw the bird. He described seeing a large eagle flying in the mountains, and on another occasion said one walked into his tent, apparently attracted by a fire at his camp. The Curupira is a hominid cryptid from Brazil, described as very small, about 0.9 meters or 3 feet tall, and covered in red or orange hair. They are said to live in trees, have a shaggy mane, and possess large mouths filled with green or blue teeth. Some reports describe the Curupira riding animals, usually peccaries. This cryptid has been linked to the Mpingwari theory, as both are said to leave backward-facing footprints. Pygmy people. The pygmy people, or pig genies, are hominid cryptids reported from the Central African Republic. They are said to herd groups of pigs through the forest by riding them. If a pig resisted, the genies would chase it into a human hunter's trap. They are also known to dance around fires with human hunters. Cryptozoologists speculate that the pig genies might be living Australopithecines, an archaic human species, or a bipedal chimpanzee. Ujaya is a large cryptid from Ecuador, as reported by cryptozoologist Angel Forrest. Locals described it as a large bear, though Forrest believed it more closely resembled a ground sloth. It is said to have a long tongue, shaggy red hair, and hooked claws. Its strong odor was reportedly powerful enough to knock a man unconscious. Descriptions vary, with some sources likening it to a gorilla-like creature. In the 1980s, an eyewitness in Ecuador's cloud forest described it as a large, 4-legged animal with a horn-like snout, measuring over 10 feet long and covered in shaggy hair. Initially thought to be a threat, it was observed peacefully eating vegetation. Surviving giant lemurs. Madagascar has reports of surviving giant lemurs, with sizes ranging from chimpanzee-like to larger than humans. Known species of giant lemurs were believed extinct since the 1600s, but numerous post-extinction sightings have been reported. These giant lemurs are linked to various cryptids, such as the Kalanoro. The Burunjor is an Australian cryptid said to be a large lizard, often theorized to be a surviving Tyrannosaurus rex, though some describe it as a large, possibly bipedal lizard. Cryptozoologist Rex Gilroy once found large tracks he attributed to the Burunjor, and connected it to attacks on cows. Gilroy claimed the Burunjor's jaws could bite a cow's bone in half, adding to the creature's fearsome reputation. Gulf of Mexico Sitchin. In 1949, ecologist Isaac Ginsberg received a peculiar fish scale from the Gulf of Mexico. The scale, discovered by a woman who purchased fish scales for jewelry, was unlike anything Ginsberg had seen, described as large and primitive. Despite attempts to contact the woman for more samples, she never responded. Ginsberg speculated the scale might belong to a coelacanth or an entirely unknown fish. In the same year, a strange fish with leg-like appendages, similar to a coelacanth, was captured in the Gulf but remained unidentified. The Ngori, or water elephant, is a cryptid from the Central African Republic. Described as a hairy creature about 10 feet long, with long teeth or tusks, it is known to kill hippos and crocodiles. This cryptid is often associated with other water-dwelling creatures in African folklore. In the Garo Hills region of northeast India, the Mande Barung is an ape-like cryptid similar to the nearby Yeti. Investigators describe the Barung as having dark brown or black hair, standing as tall as 9 feet, and primarily eating vegetables, though it sometimes consumes crabs. It is also known to build nests. The most notable encounter occurred in 1999, when a man claimed he was captured by the creature and force-fed bitter milk, though the barung was otherwise harmless. The Maricoxi is a cryptid native to the Amazon rainforest in South America. In 1953, explorer Percy Fawcett reported encountering an extremely hairy tribe during a trek in the Amazon. He noted that they communicated through strange grunting sounds and used bows, which local tribes had warned him about. While this description suggests that the Maricoxi might be an obscure human tribe, more recent sightings describe them as hairy beings of varying sizes, from as short as 3 feet to as tall as 12 feet. The winged dragon, similar to the Thunderbird, is described either as bird-like or resembling a pterodactyl. Reports of these creatures have come from all over the United States, especially in the southern regions. The Milton lizard, named after Milton, Kentucky, was first sighted in 1975. Witnesses described it as a 15-foot lizard, much larger than any known lizard today. It had black and white stripes, small speckles on its body, and large frog-like eyes. Despite organized searches, the creature was never found. The Dewey Lakes Monster, also known as the Sister Lake Sasquatch, is a Bigfoot-like creature reported in Michigan in 1964. It was described as 10 feet tall with glowing eyes, an unusual trait for Bigfoot sightings. Despite many hunters searching for it, the creature was never captured or seen again. Palmyra fish. In 1868, Edmund Holdsworth was traveling off the coast of Sri Lanka when he saw a strange animal in the water, known by the crew as the Palmyra fish. This creature was about 25 feet long with a 5-foot long pointed dorsal fin. The crew noted that the Palmyra fish was often avoided due to its aggressive behavior. Horse panther. The saguaro or horse panther is a cryptid hyena from West Africa. Reports of this creature date back to around 1900 when an expedition heard of a much larger and more dangerous hyena compared to a large dog. Bernard Hovelmans once saw photographs of hyena tracks that were 3 times larger than normal. In one story, a Frenchman was killed by a saguaro in his hut. Snake-like sea serpents. In 1967, helicopter pilots from the Soviet ship Sovietskaya Rossiya reported observing 2 snake-like sea serpents in the Southern Ocean near Antarctica. These serpents were described as being 15 meters long and about 1 meter wide, with light brown skin. They exhibited convulsive, serpentine movements and were seen hunting pods of whales. Due to concerns about potential threats to shipping, vessels in the area were cautioned about these creatures. Dark Watchers. The Dark Watchers are mysterious entities reported in California, described as large humanoid silhouettes. Travelers often see them standing atop mountains, gazing down. These sightings date back to the time of Spanish settlers, who referred to them as Los Vigilantes Oscuros. The phenomenon continues to intrigue and unsettle those who encounter these enigmatic figures. New Zealand moose. In 1910, a population of wild moose was introduced to Fiordland, New Zealand, for hunting purposes. By 1952, they were believed to be extinct. However, sporadic reports of moose sightings persisted. In 1995, a series of photographs allegedly showed a moose, and in 2001, a hair sample confirmed to be from a moose was found. In 2020, a helicopter flying over the Dusky Sound region spotted a moose, reigniting interest in the possible survival of this elusive population. The Bagi, also known as the water devil or Nagak-Hula Nugu, is a cryptid from the Brush and Gunda rivers in the Central African Republic and possibly Equatorial Guinea. Witnesses describe it as a large, smooth snake about 4 feet, 1.3 meters wide, with a long neck similar to a giraffe's. It reportedly kills hippos by strangling them, but feeds on tree branches. In 1928, the Bagi was sighted crushing a field of crops and killing a hippo, which villagers later ate. Marine saurian. The marine saurian is a proposed cryptid described by Bernard Heuvelmans as a large, crocodile-like sea creature. A notable sighting occurred in 1877 when the crew of the ship Sacramento, traveling in the northern Atlantic Ocean, spotted a large yellowish creature with a flat, alligator-like head. They observed about 40 feet of the creature in the water, though another crewman estimated it to be 60 feet long and reddish-brown. As the creature approached the ship, it disappeared into the depths of the ocean. Melanistic mountain lions. Reports of black-colored or melanistic mountain lions are common in North America, though no confirmed cases exist. Melanistic jaguars and leopards are documented, but not cougars. Most black panther sightings come from the southern U.S., with some as far north as Washington, Maine, and Canada. Hundreds of sightings include alleged video and photo evidence. Pressy. Pressy is a lake monster reported in North America's Lake Superior. Described as a massive aquatic snake, sightings date back to the 1600s when French explorers encountered it. Named after the Presque Isle River in Michigan's Upper Peninsula, one sighting involved a man who fell overboard and reported a snake trying to constrict him. Yellow belly. The yellow belly is a species of sea serpent first proposed by cryptozoologist Bernard Heuvelmans. It is described as a fish at least 60 feet, 18 meters in length, with a tadpole-shaped body, named after its yellow coloration and black stripes. The most well-known sighting occurred in 1876 when the ship Nestor spotted a large yellow and black animal with no fins. Cryptozoologist Dale Drinan later suggested it could be a shark similar to the whale shark but with a longer tail. The Dieu de Pure Era, also known as Anca de Agua, is a cryptid from South America first reported by Jacques Cousteau. It is described as a forest spirit that patrols the flooded areas of the Amazon jungle. Naturalist Cy Montgomery described it as growing as big as a cow and attacking people in boats. Some descriptions also claim it has long, droopy ears. Huechibo. The huechibo is described as a half-human, half-goat-like creature in Mexico. It is said to be extremely dangerous to humans and has been blamed for the death of livestock. In 2015, remains of a goat-like creature were found and thought to be the huechibo by locals. One eyewitness recalled a story from his childhood when the creature charged at him, forcing him to jump out of its way. Older legends describe it as a shape-shifting human with the ability to transform into multiple animals. Passenger pigeon. The passenger pigeon was once a very widespread bird in North America before it went extinct in the wild in 1900, with the last specimen dying in a zoo in 1914. In 1929, a scientist from the University of Michigan and his companion were hunting in Michigan's Upper Peninsula when the companion, who had seen passenger pigeons when he was younger, spotted what he thought was a passenger pigeon. The scientist briefly saw the bird fly away and thought it resembled a passenger pigeon. President Theodore Roosevelt also reportedly saw a small wild flock after the species was declared extinct in the wild. He stated that nothing could have compelled him to shoot them. The Mokele-Mbembe is a horned cryptid from Central Africa. The first report of one comes from the 1930s, when wanderers reportedly killed one. Another report talks about a hunter shooting one and even taking a picture, but he didn't release the picture out of fear of retaliation for poaching. The Mokele-Mbembe is usually described as the size of an elephant with thick legs and a large singular horn. It lives in the water, sometimes leaving to feed on plants. While it is an herbivore, it is said to kill elephants, hippos, and buffaloes that invade its territory. It also makes a wide variety of loud noises. The cryptid is usually thought to be a type of semi-aquatic rhino, an Arsinoitherium, or a surviving ceratopsian dinosaur. Caspian tiger. Native to parts of Central Asia and Europe, the Caspian tiger was thought to have gone extinct in the 1970s after the last known individual was shot. However, there have been multiple reports of sightings, especially in the mountainous regions of Central Asia. It's also noted that the Caspian tiger is closely related to the Siberian tiger, leading to proposals of reintroducing the Siberian tiger to the Caspian's former habitats. The Itoshi, a cryptid of the Kefu River in Zambia, is described as a 50-foot-long creature resembling a mix between a crocodile, python, and hippo with fins. Reports of the creature's appearance vary significantly. Kinderhook blob. In 1962, 2 children in New York reported seeing a strange white object behind a tree, which they found frightening and ran away from. Named after Kinderhook, New York, the Kinderhook blob was seen again a few years later by a man who reported it floating towards him. The most recent sighting was in 2017 when 2 men saw it emitting a high-pitched screech, causing them to flee. Macarena bear. The Macarena bear, a rare cryptid from Colombia, is described as having red fur. Little information is available due to its rarity. Beast of Kuru. Named after the Kuru Desert in South Africa, where it was first seen, the Beast of Kuru is a reptilian, dinosaur-like cryptid. Initially sighted in 1946, it is described as being about 11 feet long. However, due to its rarity, detailed information on this creature is scarce. The Lao is a water cryptid from South Sudan. While its appearance varies by report, many describe it as a large cryptid with a long serpentine body growing up to 12 meters long. Some reports claim the Lao grows barbs like a catfish and that the creature attacks boats and eats humans. The White Thang is a large Bigfoot-like creature located in the southeast United States. The cryptid has white fur and is said to emit a strange scream. Some speculate it's an albino Bigfoot. On the island of New Guinea, there are reports of large creatures resembling the iguanodon, an extinct dinosaur. According to sightings, these creatures hunt animals, though the extinct dinosaur iguanodons were herbivores. Sightings of these creatures are rare, with the earliest reported in 1999 and the latest in 2004. Originating from the Yukon region of Canada, the Saituakin is a giant cryptid from native tribal stories. It gained attention after a tribal member recounted an encounter involving a creature 8 to 9 feet tall, larger than a grizzly bear, near Tachin Lake. Theories about the Saituakin include it being a surviving giant ground sloth, an undiscovered type of bear, a giant beaver, a Bigfoot, or a short-faced bear. Orange Mawas. Allegedly residing in the jungles of Malaysia, the orange Mawas are large, humanoid, hairy apes around 10 feet or 3 meters tall. Reports of these creatures date back to 1871 and continue into the 21st century. Despite numerous sightings, their behavior remains largely unknown, though they are said to travel in families. St. John's River Monster. The St. John's River Monster, or Johnny, is a cryptid from Florida's St. John's River. First sighted in 1849 by a ship's crew, it was described as dirty brown with a snake-like head, multiple fins, and about 90 feet or 30 meters long. Later sightings described it as having a horn, being pink or gray, and smaller in size. Its behavior is largely unknown, though some reports mention it feeding on vegetation. The Morongo is a leopard-like cryptid from Central Africa, said to reach up to 12 feet or 4 meters in length. Its fur is brownish with blue and white striped spots. The creature hunts at night in pairs, attacking large animals like hippos. A 1911 account describes it ambushing a boat of French soldiers, capsizing their vessel, and then vanishing into the water. The Nepali tree bear, a cryptid resembling a smaller black bear, is known for its agility and corn-based diet. Interestingly, some accounts suggest these bears build and reside in elaborate nests within trees. The white orake is a cryptid from New Zealand described as a small otter, with sightings dating back to the 1700s. Despite this long history, physical evidence is scarce. Owlie. From the eastern African nations of Ethiopia and Eritrea, the owlie is a freshwater manatee inhabiting lakes, rivers, and marshes. The first recorded sighting was in the 1860s, when a German explorer heard reports of them in Lake Tana. The only other known freshwater manatee, the African manatee, is found in Western Africa. Native to the Philippines, the Amomongo is a hairy, ape-like cryptid known for its extreme violence. Standing around 5'4" or 1.6 meters tall, it has long nails and sometimes white fur. The creature attacks both livestock and people, with sightings peaking around 2008. The Agach Kishi is a cryptid from the Caucasus Mountains in Russia, described as a wild man. Little else is known about this elusive creature. Native American stories describe the Alagui as a tribe of giant humanoids inhabiting the Allegheny Mountain Range in the United States and Canada. These giants were said to reach heights of 25 feet and were known for their fierceness in battles against other tribes. Whether these tales exaggerate their size or not remains uncertain. Eastern cougar. The eastern cougar was a contentious subspecies of mountain lions that once roamed the eastern United States. Scientists debated whether it was a distinct subspecies or simply the same species as the mountain lions in the western U.S. Officially declared extinct in 2011, the eastern cougar was thought to have disappeared as early as the 1930s. Nevertheless, thousands of sightings have been reported across the eastern U.S. since then, including plaster casts, photos of tracks, and even videos. Some cougars found in the east were later identified as western or Florida panthers, indicating they had wandered from their native regions rather than representing a surviving eastern population. Revived ancient microorganisms. In 1972, Soviet scientist Dr. Chudinov was studying salt deposits when he made a surprising discovery. After taking a sample, he found fossilized algal colonies and worms within the salt, estimated to be around 250 million years old. Shockingly, once he dissolved the sodium, the microorganisms and worms began moving under his microscope, still alive after all those years. During his time in Guinea, naturalist Owen Burnham encountered the remains of an animal known as the tangkong. Described as a smaller zebra with canine tusks, these creatures are said to inhabit the mountainous, forested regions of the country. Besides Owen's sighting, there are no other known reports. Kusi. Kusi is a Japanese cryptid from Lake Kusharo, described as a hump creature between 30 to 60 feet, 10 to 20 meters in length. It has two small protrusions from its head, often said to be silver and horse-shaped. Most sightings began in the 1970s, with many eyewitnesses noting the high speed at which it swam. One eyewitness said it kept up with the speed of his motorboat. Multiple large groups of people, from students on a field trip to firemen, have reported seeing Kusi. Some have connected Kusi with Ainu legends of a large snake-like creature in Lake Kusharo. Sonar scans taken in 1974 reportedly found large objects 15 meters deep, and some photos and a video were also taken of the creature. Muckshilche. The muckshilche is a Scottish cryptid reported in Loch Maree and nearby bodies of water. Its name loosely translates to turtle pig, though not much is known about its description. The Matakagmi are said to be a group of large hairy cryptids similar to Bigfoot. According to the only known sighting, a gold prospector befriended the Matakagmi around 1897. When the man was bitten by a snake, they treated the wound by cutting around the bitten area and placing moss on it. The name is similar to Matoke-Mi, one of the names for the Tibetan Yeti. The Minhocão, which translates roughly to earthworm, is a giant worm cryptid reported from South Brazil. It has dark, bony, armored scales and two movable horns coming out of its head. The Minhocão's length has been reported as up to 150 feet, 45 meters long and 5 meters wide. The worm's skin was said to be as hard as pine tree bark. It is described as being amphibious, traveling underground in tunnels, above ground in trenches, and living in water. While most reports came from Brazil, there were also similar reports in Nicaragua, Cuba, Bolivia, and Uruguay. There haven't been any sightings since the 1920s, leading many to consider the cryptid extinct. Mogollon Monster. Named after the Mogollon Rim in Arizona, the Mokele-Mbembe monster is said to be a Bigfoot-like cryptid. It differs from typical Bigfoot reports by being described as more violent, decapitating its prey and drinking their blood. It is also said to mimic the sounds of various animals, from birds and coyotes to even screaming women. Some reports claim the monster's face is mostly hairless, while others describe a long beard running down to its knees. One sighting claimed the cryptid used a club to threaten the eyewitness. Lu Tu Lung, donkey-headed wolf. The Lu Tu Lung, or donkey-headed wolf, is a cryptid reported from across China. As the name suggests, it has the body of a large wolf and a head shaped like a donkey's. It feeds on wildlife, and when that's not available, targets livestock and even children. The animal is said not to fear humans. Depending on the witness, it either sounds like a howling wolf or a braying donkey. The merhorse is a species of sea serpent first categorized by cryptozoologist Bernard Heuvelmans. It is described as a seal between 30 and 100 feet, 9 and 30 meters long, with a long neck and a large mane of hair. The merhorse is said to have large eyes, suggesting it lives at depths of 300 to 600 feet. While merhorses have been reported in both the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, they are most often sighted off the northwestern coast of North America. This has led some to consider Caddy as potentially being a merhorse. Snark. The snark is a serpentine shark cryptid. One of the most notable encounters was in 1863 when an 80-foot-long fish was captured and killed near what is now Xiamen, China. A close inspection of the shark's mouth indicated it was a filter feeder similar to a whale shark. Unfortunately, no remains of the snark were preserved. Elephant dung bat. The elephant dung bat is a cryptid reported in the Marsabit Forest and Mount Kulal of Kenya. It is a silver and brownish-gray furred bat with a wingspan of about 5 inches, 12.5 centimeters. The bat gets its name from its habit of roosting in piles of elephant dung on the ground. The only known sightings come from the 1950s. Nayarit ruffed cat. The Nayarit ruffed cat is a cryptid known from 2 skins purchased by cryptozoologist Ivan Sanderson, with a 3rd skin he saw but didn't purchase. These skins were found in Mexico and measured around 4.5 feet, 1.4 meters in length. The cat was brown in color, with multiple stripes on the flank and upper legs, and had thick hair around its neck and paws. Unfortunately, the skins Sanderson purchased were lost in a flood. Cryptozoologist Carl Schuker also heard reports that Aztec and Mayan carvings depicted the animal. Big Muddy Monster. In 1973, an unidentified animal was sighted near Big Muddy River in southern Illinois. It was described as a large, upright creature covered in white hair, dubbed the Big Muddy Monster because it was caked in mud. It was first sighted by a couple who reported it to the police. Officers found large tracks and heard loud screams from the woods. Another report involved officers smelling a strange odor and finding a sticky film on a tree. A man claimed to have seen the creature in the 1950s, but didn't come forward earlier out of fear of ridicule. Migo. Migo is the name given to a large crocodile-like creature sighted in Lake Takatawa. The cryptid is about 30 feet, 9 meters long, with gray skin and a horse-like head. Migo is widely known for being allegedly filmed on the surface of the lake in 1994 by a Japanese film crew. Charles Mill Reservoir Monster. In 1959, 3 boys spotted a strange reptilian humanoid near the Charles Mill Reservoir in Ohio. The creature was about 7 feet, 2 meters tall, with webbed feet, glowing green eyes, and no arms. After they fled, investigators found tracks resembling skin diver footwear. The creature was only sighted again in 1963. Queensland Tiger. The Queensland tiger is a large big cat from the rainforests of Queensland, Australia. Described as about 5 feet, 1.5 meters, long with stripes and large paws, it sometimes has fangs, consistent with another Australian cryptid, the wargle. Reports date back to 1871, when a young boy and his dog chased one up a tree. Early explorers recorded stories from Aboriginals, and sightings have continued into the 21st century. Unfortunately, multiple accounts exist of the tigers being killed as pests, with their carcasses discarded. Atmospheric beasts. In various parts of the world, there are reports of large, unidentified animals in the sky, known as atmospheric beasts. These creatures typically lack distinctive features and resemble large shapes. One theory suggests they are colonial organisms or groups of small animals connected together. Sprout Lake Monster. Sprout Lake in British Columbia, Canada, is said to be home to a cryptid. In April 1987, writer John Kirk's family and a friend witnessed two large black humps swimming parallel to the shore for about a minute at the northern end of the lake. Additionally, local pictographs depict an unknown creature, known in the rest of the province as the Naitaka, adding to the mystery surrounding Sprout Lake. Wampuash. The Wampuash Yawa is a cryptid big cat from Ecuador, often described as a white jaguar. Despite its intriguing nature, little is known about this elusive creature, making it a subject of fascination and speculation among cryptozoologists. The warrigal, akin to the Australian big cat, is a mysterious large feline reportedly inhabiting the Blue Mountains in Australia. Unlike cougars or leopards, the warrigal is described as having a prominent mane and two massive fangs. If this creature is real, distinguishing it from other big cat sightings in Australia would be challenging, as they could easily be confused when observed from afar. Native to Australia, particularly New South Wales, the giant wombat is thought to be an oversized version of the common wombat, potentially reaching the size of a bear. Proponents of its existence believe the giant wombat could be a surviving descendant of the Diprotodon, a larger relative of wombats that went extinct about 50,000 years ago when humans first arrived in Australia. Reports of the giant wombat date back to 1872, with sightings of a bear-sized wombat in New South Wales. However, some accounts describe the creature as more ape-like. Although not frequently reported, there was a notable sighting in 2004 when an entire family, consisting of 2 adults and 2 smaller young, was observed in a New South Wales park. In 1947, Norwegian explorer Thor Heyerdahl undertook an expedition to prove that South Americans traveled to Polynesia before Columbus. He built a wooden raft and sailed from Peru to an atoll near French Polynesia. During the journey, Heyerdahl and his crew reported seeing strange creatures. They described round heads, 2 to 3 feet in diameter, with glowing eyes and balls of light flashing in the water. On a cloudy night, the helmsman saw a faint glow forming into a large animal with shifting shapes. At one point, the glowing figure split into 2 parts that swam independently under the raft, eventually becoming 3 phantoms circling below. These creatures appeared larger than elephants but did not surface for air, suggesting they were not whales. Despite efforts to lure them closer, the creatures remained elusive and vanished at dawn. The crew also observed a large, motionless mass underwater. The exact nature of these creatures remains unknown, with suggestions like the glowing firefly squid of Japan, but they continue to be a mystery. Pterotornis was a large vulture-like bird with a wingspan up to 12 feet that went extinct around 10,000 years ago. Some believe that certain Thunderbird sightings might actually be Pterotornis, suggesting it survived extinction. The Turtle Lake Monster is a cryptid from Turtle Lake in Canada. Descriptions of the creature vary, with estimates of its length ranging from 10 to 30 feet and a head resembling a pig, dog, or seahorse. It is said to have either a smooth body or scales. According to a Cree legend, a monster in the lake caused the disappearance of those who ventured into its domain. Despite no confirmed sightings, the Turtle Lake Monster remains one of the more unique lake cryptids. Messie is the name of a cryptid residing in Lake Murray, South Carolina. Resembling a plesiosaur, Messie is known for its aggressive behavior. In 2012, 2 kids reported that Messie grabbed their fishing line and dragged their boat for about a mile before one of them dropped the fishing rod, allowing them to escape. The Wallowa Lake Monster, often called Wally, is described as a humped creature up to 20 feet long. According to a legend from the Nez Perce Mipu tribe, a monster in the lake once destroyed a boat, leaving no trace of its occupants. Although sightings are rare, in 1950, 2 of these creatures were reportedly seen, suggesting the possibility of a population in the lake. The Flintville Monster is a regional Bigfoot variant from Tennessee, known for its aggressive behavior and terrible smell. Similar to the skunk ape and grassman, This hairy ape has terrorized the area. According to an article titled, "Tennessee Bigfoot, a Disagreeable Fellow," the creature never harmed anyone, but would chase people through the woods and attack cars. In one incident, a mother barely saved her child from the monster's reach. It's unclear if the Flintville monster is a type of Bigfoot or a different species entirely. The Sabine Thing, located near the Sabine River running through Texas and Louisiana, is said to resemble an ape-like creature with grayish fur and a somewhat hunched posture. While Bigfoot sightings typically describe a brown, upright creature, some speculate that the Sabine Thing represents a different species altogether. The Nitewo, believed to have inhabited Sri Lanka, were reportedly small, ape-like beings standing about 3 feet tall. They were known to live in groups, constructing nests in trees. Legend has it that around 1775, a local tribe trapped the Nitewo in a cave and set it on fire, leading to their presumed extinction. Despite this, sporadic sightings have been reported since. Devil monkeys, described as baboon-like creatures, have been reported across North and Central America, with sightings documented in Virginia, British Columbia, Maine, Arizona, and Mexico. These creatures allegedly reach up to 7 feet in size and have been known to leave scratch marks on cars. Reports of devil monkeys date back as far as the 1930s. Gambo, a mysterious carcass found in Gambia, bore a resemblance to an ichthyosaurus, a prehistoric marine reptile. Unfortunately, the creature's body was buried by locals, and only its head was preserved and sold to a tourist. The lack of photographic evidence leaves the existence of Gambo unresolved. The bat-winged monkey bird, reportedly sighted in the United Kingdom, is described as a small creature approximately 3 feet in length, possessing bat-like wings, a parrot's beak, and a monkey-like face. Witnesses have described its call as a chilling screech. Chestnut Mountain, standing at 1,020 feet tall in Illinois, is reputedly the habitat of a creature resembling a dogman. In a 2010 incident, a couple driving near the mountain encountered a wolf-like figure walking upright. It suddenly appeared in front of their vehicle, before swiftly retreating out of sight. This sighting, although not the first of its kind in the area, is notably one of the more recent reported in Illinois. The Ayia Napa sea monster, named after the town of Ayia Napa in Cyprus, is often compared to the mythical creature Scylla from the Odyssey. It has been described as having multiple heads and tentacles in ancient lore, but recent reports depict it more like a crocodile or a traditional sea monster. Unlike the fearsome Scylla, locals consider the Ayia Napa sea monster to be friendly, even referring to it as the friendly monster. The Tennessee Terror is a cryptid reported to inhabit the Tennessee River. Described as a 25-foot, 7.5-meter, snake-like creature, it allegedly once nearly tipped a man out of his boat. Information on this creature is scarce. The Genasqua, also known as the Stone Giant Man, is reputed to be a larger, more fearsome and aggressive relative of Bigfoot. According to Native American legend, these beings have skin as tough as stone, capable of deflecting arrows. Though they haven't been seen for centuries, legends tell of the stone men invading lands, overpowering humans, and consuming their remains. Some speculate that these stories might be related to Bigfoot or a similar creature. Originating from the Mediterranean Sea, Mangitora's monstrous fish is a peculiar whale-like creature featuring 2 dorsal fins, a blowhole, and incredibly strong teeth. One such creature was stranded in Sicily, where it measured about 45 feet in length. It was named after Sicilian historian Antonio Mangiatora, who documented the sighting. Despite the detailed description, no similar whale or fish has been observed since. In Nova Scotia, Canada, near Cape Sable Island, sightings of the Cape Sable serpent, a long serpent-like cryptid, have been reported. This creature is noted for its tusks, barnacles on its body, a seahorse-like face, and stalked eyes. Though reports date back to 1934, the serpent gained significant attention in 1976 when multiple fishermen claimed they were stalked by it. In 3 separate encounters, the fishermen had to steer their boats into shallow waters to escape. One fisherman, who partially saw it, estimated its length at 50 to 60 feet. Dingoneck. First sighted in 1907 by big game hunters, the dingoneck is a fanged, scaly creature about 15 feet or 5 meters long. According to the sighting, the hunter fired at the aquatic cryptid, which then chased after him. This remains the only recorded sighting of the dingo neck, although one hunter claimed that locals were familiar with the creature and were forbidden to hunt it. In Iceland, there exists a creature known as the Skeljaskrimsli, an armored beast the size of a bull. The cryptid is black, with tough scales and long claws. Sightings are rare, but it is described as aquatic and capable of spitting poison. Its scales are said to make a distinctive noise. Giant caiman. Reports of giant caiman come from rivers and swamplands in Brazil, Peru, Ecuador, and Venezuela. These massive creatures are allegedly capable of tearing apart boats and consuming their passengers. In one story, a man who had been hypnotized by a giant anaconda was saved when a giant caiman devoured the snake. The Guiawu, or Lake Tianji monster, is a Chinese cryptid first sighted in 1903 when a buffalo-like creature emerged from the lake and attacked people before being driven back with firearms. Later sightings describe a long-necked creature similar to a seal with a white ring around its neck, and it was reportedly recorded in 2006. Pre-Columbian horses. There are reports of pre-Columbian horses in mainland North America, where known species of horse died out around 4000 BC before being reintroduced in the late 1400s. David Ingram, a shipwrecked sailor, traveled across America on foot in the 1560s and reported seeing large horses that fought with a type of elephant. Many-finned sea serpent. Bernard Heuvelmans proposed the many-finned sea serpent as a cryptid, possibly an armored cetacean, crustacean, polychaete worm, or arthropod. In 1899, the ship Narcissus spotted a 150-foot, 45-meter-long sea serpent off the coast of Algeria. It moved slowly, propelled by numerous fins along its body, and had multiple small spouts like those of a whale. Near Sros Island in Mexico, the ship Emma also encountered an unidentified sea serpent feeding on a whale. This creature had a turtle-like head and 5 or 6 webbed and horned legs on each side. It made a wheezing or hissing sound while feeding and observed the boat from a distance before returning to the whale carcass. The Sing-Shing is a cryptid from the Himalayan mountains, resembling an orangutan and growing up to 10 feet, 3 meters tall. There is limited information about it, but it may be related to the legendary Yeti. Walgren Lake Monster. Named after Walgren Lake in Nebraska, the Walgren Lake Monster has varying descriptions. Some describe it as an alligator-like animal with a single horn, while others say it's a large catfish or salamander. Early reports from the 1900s describe it as so large it shook the ground. The Huasnai is a cryptid feline from Nicaragua with varying descriptions. Some accounts describe it as a manatee-like creature with a mane, glossy otter-like fur, and webbed feet. Reports of its fur color vary, though most sightings claim it is black. The Huasnai is considered very dangerous, preying on both livestock and humans who fall into the river. Locals avoid areas where it is said to be, and attempts to kill it have been unsuccessful. The cryptid is noted for its speed in water, earning it the nickname water tiger. Huatl is a cryptid bird native to the Yanachaga Mountains of Peru. It closely resembles the wattled guan, but notably lacks the wattle, a fleshy protuberance that typically dangles from the bird's chin. Pentland Firth Sea Serpent. In 1994, a large, unidentified sea serpent was sighted in the Pentland Firth Strait by John McIntosh Bell, a lawyer who had befriended local fishermen. They had spoken of a strange creature, and during a fishing trip, one fisherman pointed it out. John described a creature with a 6-foot, 2-meter neck as thick as an elephant's leg, a dark brown body with elephant-like skin, 2 sets of paddles or fins, whiskers, and small black eyes. The neck and body together measured about 20 feet. Unfortunately, John's camera malfunctioned, preventing him from capturing a photo. While considering shooting it, the fisherman advised against it, fearing a wounded creature might attack. The black demon is a large shark said to live off the coast of Mexico's Baja Peninsula. Its dark coloration gave it its name, and it's reported to be between 20 and 60 feet, 6 to 20 meters long. Afa. Near the Tigris River in Iraq lives the afa, a large, venomous lizard first recorded by British explorer Wilfred Thesiger. Due to the draining of the marshes it inhabits, sightings have become rare, suggesting that the creature may be more elusive now. Fisher pig. The fisher pig is a cryptid from Hungary that reportedly went extinct by the late 1890s. It was described as large, with a curved beak. The name comes from its diet, as it was said to feed on fish and crabs from lakes. Some theorize it was an undiscovered species of pig, while others believe it may have been an entelodont, an extinct pig-like animal. The scrag whale is or likely was a type of whale native to the North Atlantic Ocean. According to a 17th century report, a scrag whale was seen entering a Massachusetts harbor where settlers killed it. Since then, no sightings have been reported, coinciding with the extinction of gray whales off the coast of North America. Today, many believe that the scrag whale was simply a gray whale. The USS Stein is a Mexican-American destroyer first launched in 1970. It is known for a 1978 incident where it was attacked by an animal dubbed the USS Stein creature, which was allegedly a giant squid-like creature similar to older reports of Krakens attacking ships. According to the report, a chunk of the ship's outer layer was destroyed by sharp claws resembling those found on squid suction cups. The report suggests these claws could have come from a squid up to 150 feet in length, far larger than any known squid. However, these estimates should be taken with a grain of salt. The Wampus cat, also known as the Wampus beast, is a green-eyed, panther-sized cat native to the Appalachian region of the United States. It is connected to a Cherokee story of a woman who donned a pelt to spy on a ceremony. When discovered, the tribe's elders cursed her, fusing her with the pelt to become the Wampus beast. Today, the creature is mainly known as folklore, but in the 1920s, it was blamed for a series of livestock deaths in Georgia and North Carolina. More recently, a sighting was reported on the show Mountain Men, where a cast member claimed he encountered the beast as a child. The boreal abomination was sighted only once on August 29, 1965, when two Peruvian men encountered an alien resembling a shrub, standing about 2.5 feet tall. Shortly after, they observed a UFO flying overhead, a sighting corroborated by others in the area. The giant jellyfish, a rare oceanic cryptid first seen in 1953, has been reported to reach lengths of up to 200 feet. Found in Florida, the Mothman is a humanoid cryptid covered in moss, first sighted in 1978. A couple initially mistook it for a person in a green raincoat on the coastline, but upon closer inspection, they saw it was a moss-covered creature with glowing red eyes, prompting them to flee. Another sighting involved a couple walking near the shoreline, where the Mothman turned its head to reveal glowing amber eyes, startling them into fleeing. The Mothman was reported as recently as 2009. The Minnesota Dogman, similar to other reported dog-like humanoid creatures worldwide, has been sighted in Minnesota. This region, along with Michigan, is known for numerous Dogman sightings, including the Beast of Bray Road and the Wolfman of Chestnut Mountain. Despite frequent sightings, none of these creatures have been captured, leaving their exact nature and species uncertain. Described as a 20-meter or 67-foot-long giant snake, the Mokele-Mbembe is a cryptid and deity in South Africa. Other reports depict it as a smaller reptile. This cryptid is said to glow green at night and is believed to hunt humans. According to local lore, Mokele-Mbembe drowns people in rivers and consumes them, focusing particularly on the face and brains. The Ajule is a small dog cryptid native to North Africa, described as being about 3 feet or a meter long and hunting in packs. Strangely, the dog is said to have crimson skin with a bluish tint. Located in Iliamna Lake, the largest lake in Alaska, the Iliamna Lake Monster, or Ili, is a large fish-like cryptid. Reports of the creature's size range from 10 to 30 feet, 3 to 9 meters long. The square-headed cryptid is said to attack canoes and boats in the area. In 1947, a man hunting for the creature tied hooks baited with caribou meat to cables attached to his float plane. Something in the water grabbed onto the cables, ripped 3 of them off, and began dragging the plane, forcing the man to bail and swim to shore. The Ozark Howler. Sightings of the horned bearcat hybrid creature may date back to the time of Daniel Boone, who, according to legend, shot one of the creatures in Missouri in 1946. The howler reportedly caused trouble and made strange noises in the area, though no one was hurt. Over the years, more sightings have been reported in various states, but the creature remains a mystery. Charlie, the Payette Lake Monster, is a cryptid from Idaho, bearing a resemblance to the Loch Ness Monster. First reported in 1920, it was named Charlie in 1954 by comedian Jack Pearl during a radio show with his catchphrase, Vasudera Charlie. It has connections to a local Native American legend about an evil spirit inhabiting Payette Lake, though there's no evidence suggesting it resembled a plesiosaur. The last sighting was in 2002, and information about this creature is scarce. Big Red Eye is a Sasquatch variant from New Jersey. Known for its low growling and screaming noises, Big Red Eye is named for its red eyes, which reflect light rather than glow. The Lake Koshkonong Monster is a cryptid from Wisconsin, possibly linked to a Native American legend about a demon inhabiting the lake. This creature is described as a 40-foot, 12-meter long serpent. One report claims that it devoured pigs left near the shore by a farmer. Jenny, or the Geneva Lake Sea Monster, is a cryptid said to live in Geneva Lake, Wisconsin. There isn't much information available, but one sighting described Jenny as a snake-like creature covered in scales and measuring up to 100 feet long. The high-fin cachalot, a variation of whale allegedly inhabiting the waters off the Shetland Islands in Scotland, is notable for its unusually tall dorsal fin, a characteristic not typically observed in whales of its kind. The Papabawa, with its intriguing name, is a small bat-like creature described as a shape-shifting spirit capable of appearing human and causing sleep paralysis. Famous for allegedly influencing politics in Zanzibar, where attacks supposedly spiked during elections, the Papabawa remains a uniquely eerie part of cryptid lore. The horned jackal is a type of jackal with a short horn sticking out of its head. Primarily reported in the island nation of Sri Lanka, and to a lesser degree in India and Nepal, legend has it that these horns prevent theft. Located in Canada's Nahanni Valley, the Nahanni bear is said to be an extremely large bear, much larger than other bears in the area, though not much else is known about it. Alien octopoids. In 1968, a Spanish man named John Mattoon reported seeing strange creatures, which he called alien octopoids. These beings were about 3 feet tall, with 4 or 5 legs, resembling octopuses. The night of the sighting, John observed a UFO before fainting as the creatures moved towards it. A nearby couple claimed to have photographed scorch marks left by the craft, though the photos are missing. Additionally, electromagnetic activity was speculated since John and his brother's watches stopped working near the site. Pascagoula elephant men. In 1973, 2 men fishing in Pascagoula, Mississippi, claimed to be abducted by aliens they described as the Pascagoula elephant men. These beings were about 5 feet tall, with pale, wrinkly skin resembling that of an elephant. They lacked eyes, had a robotic slit for a mouth, and moved like robots. Most notably, they had carrot-like protrusions on the sides of their heads. After a while, the men were released, and the Pascagoula elephant men were never seen again. Entity tiger. From the Entity Plateau in Chad, the Entity tiger is believed to be a surviving saber-toothed cat. Sightings of this cryptid resemble those of the gassing ram, suggesting they could be the same creature. Spiny-backed chimpanzee. In the Democratic Republic of the Congo, reports describe a chimpanzee species with long spike-like protrusions on its back. U.S. Navy personnel allegedly observed a group of these chimpanzees hunting, noting that the spines, which resembled porcupine quills, would stand up when the animals were agitated. It's said the U.S. military filmed a 3-minute video of these creatures, though the footage has never been released. Memphrey. The Memphrey, a lake monster in Canada's Lake Memphremagog, is often described as plesiosaur-like. Sightings have been reported for over a century, with the most recent in 2005. Dobharchu. The Dobharchu, an Irish cryptid, is described as a mix between a dog and an otter. Featured heavily in Irish folklore, one 17th century tale recounts it attacking and killing a woman. Other stories similarly describe it rising from the waters to attack people. The most recent sighting, reported to Dr. Carl Schuker in 2003, described it as swimming before standing up on a rock, estimated to be 5 feet or 1.5 meters tall. Rhinoceros dolphin, off the coast of the Sandwich Islands in New South Wales, Australia, is a potentially undiscovered species known as the rhinoceros dolphin. These dolphins are described as having 2 fins, one near the head and being black with white spots. The tigelboat is a cryptid reportedly from the Indonesian island of Borneo. It is described as having the body of a tiger, the neck of a lion, the trunk of an elephant, the ears of a cow, the legs of a goat, chicken-like feet, and a goat's beard. One was allegedly captured and held at a prison in 1975. Fenway Park creature. One night in 2008, former Boston Red Sox advisor Bill James spotted a strange creature. He described it as resembling a lemur, with a long tail and huge eyes. The creature used its tail to help cross a stick and disappeared under a car near Fenway Park. It hasn't been seen since. William Beebe's deep-sea fish. Between 1930 and 1934, marine biologist William Beebe made deep-sea expeditions off the coast of Bermuda in the bathysphere, discovering 5 new fish species. Scrimsel. The scrimsel is a freshwater lake monster reported throughout western Iceland. Known for rocking and even overturning boats, one account from 1595 described a creature as big as a house traveling at high speeds along a river. It was said to have the head of a sea hound with spines along its back. The most recent sighting in 1862 involved a family witnessing a creature estimated to be about 46 feet, 14 meters long, with a head resembling a seal. The Yampikia yawa is a cryptid feline from South America, known primarily for its unusual fur. Unfortunately, not much else is known about this elusive creature. Delaware River lizard. In 1912, 2 men fishing on the Delaware River were attacked by a large lizard. They managed to kill the beast and haul it away for inspection, but locals were unable to identify it. Described as looking similar to an alligator, it was theorized to be a giant, older lizard by some fishermen. Others likened it to reports of the Jersey Devil from several years earlier. Longneck. The longneck is a type of sea serpent and lake monster reported worldwide. Named for its distinctive long neck, it is usually described as having fins. The long neck is often theorized to be a surviving plesiosaur or a type of seal. Shetland Islands mermaid. In July 1833, fishermen off the coast of the Shetland Islands caught a strange 3-foot, 1-meter long creature while deep-sea fishing. Described as looking like a human woman from the navel up, it had wrists and hands like a human, except for webbed fingers. The head had no nose, just 2 holes for air, with large bristles that could move, which the men assumed were for hearing. The mouth was so large it could fit an entire person's hand, with thick lips and a small underbite. The skin was white on the front and light gray on the back, and it had a peculiar 2-lobed tail about 6 inches. Considering it resembled a mermaid and killing one was considered bad luck, the fishermen let it go. It hasn't been sighted again. Gorp. Gorp is the name given to reports of living giant ground sloths in North America. Sightings aren't common, but go back at least to the 1960s, when author John Keel received a letter from a teenager in New York State. The teenager reported seeing a large white animal standing about 15 feet, 4.5 meters tall near a swamp. The animal was sometimes seen alone and sometimes in pairs. Multiple people in the teenager's family saw them, and they were said to look like giant ground sloths. There are reports of alleged gorps being captured, including one sold by Native Americans to a Nevada newspaper in 1864, and another report from Boonesville, Indiana in 1936, where a creature resembling a giant ground sloth attacked a dog and evaded a police chase. Huangyao. The Huangyao is a Chinese weasel cryptid described as having a yellow top, a black bottom, and a cat-like face. Not much else is known about this creature. Kumi lizard. The Kumi lizard is a New Zealand cryptid described as a large arboreal or tree-dwelling lizard estimated to be about 1.5 meters, 6 feet long. One of the first reports was from a man who saw it run into a hole by a tree. When he called others to the tree, they found footprints larger than a man's hand. Local Maori said it resembled their legends of large 12-foot, 4-meter long lizards with curved teeth that made a peculiar drum-like noise. Egyptian bears. Venetian physician Prospero Alpini once claimed that a species of bear lived in Egypt. These bears were said to be no larger than sheep, whitish in color, and more easily tamed than European bears. The classical historian Herodotus also mentioned rare bears in Egypt. Bernard Heuvelmans theorized that these could have been Syrian brown bears, known for their lighter fur and proximity to Egypt. The cave cow is a cryptid from Central America, described as a dangerous, cave-dwelling lizard, though some believe it to be a living ground sloth. In the late 1800s, French naturalist Francois and his friend Joe encountered the creature while traveling through Belize. After Joe was fatally mauled, Francois tracked the animal to a cave, finding tracks resembling a gigantic human hand with claws. Francois planned to return, but lost the cave's location. In 1932, Thomas Gann led an expedition into Belize, witnessing a large animal with shaggy black fur and a white mane, running on all fours like an ape.